Chapter 1. Patting his head. The autumn wind whistled, blowing the once lush green leaves into a sea of yellow. Every so often, people on the road pulled their jackets tighter as they hurried along. A young man leaned thoughtfully against a sturdy tree branch, lost in deep contemplation. He had crossed into the Naruto world 12 years ago. Beyond the initial thrill, he spent time every day considering how to survive in the days to come. The reason for his anxiety was simple: he was reborn as a member of the Uchiha clan. And it wasn't just the impending night of the massacre that haunted him. The third Shinobi world war looming ahead was a terrifying threat all on its own. Even though he possessed decent talent, he knew it wouldn't be nearly enough. In this world, talent was everywhere. Most geniuses here, apart from a few monsters, ended up as mere backdrops to the truly strong. And unfortunately, for the Uchiha clan, being part of the scenery often meant death. Though the current tension between the Uchiha and Konoha's ruling class wasn't as severe as it would become after the Nine Tails incident, the upper echelon's hostility toward the Uchiha was already beginning to show. If war broke out, he would likely end up as cannon fodder, lost in some nameless skirmish. Arg. This is so frustrating. He ran a hand through his hair, his gaze cold and indifferent. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo. As long as those two were around, peace would be out of reach for the Uchiha. Suddenly, a commotion caught his attention, and he frowned, glancing down at a nearby alley. Kuran, I heard there's a new barbecue place in town. How about we grab some tonight? A square-faced boy stood with his arms outstretched, blocking the path of a girl with porcelain-like features. Noticing her annoyance, the boy quickly added, my treat. Asuma, can you just leave me alone? I already told you I'm not in the mood today, said the girl, Kuran, frowning. Not in the mood. Asuma's eyes narrowed. Who got on your nerves? Tell me, and I'll make sure they regret it. Kuran rolled her eyes at Asuma's show of bravado. This guy, always trying to play the hero. It was a bit irritating, but, well, he was the Hokage's son. She didn't want to antagonize him, so after a few muttered complaints, she decided to just walk around him and leave. But to her surprise, Asuma reached out, trying to grab her arm. Hey! What do you think you're doing? She shouted, jerking back. Ha, relax, Kuran. I just want to treat you to a meal. If you don't want barbecue, we could get dessert. Or go shopping. Ignoring her growing irritation, Asuma continued blocking her path, grinning like he didn't notice her expression. Asuma, step aside. You're seriously getting on my nerves. Asuma's face turned sour at that. His pride prickled, and a flash of anger surfaced. No. Not until you agree to hang out with me. You. Kuran's eyes filled with frustrated tears. Just because he was the Hokage's son, did he think he could push her around? Move. No way. Move. Not happening. From the tree above, the boy's already foul mood worsened as he listened to their argument. Quiet down. I'm trying to think. At the sound of his voice, both Kuran and Asuma looked up, startled. There, high up in the tree, a strikingly handsome boy in a fan-marked Uchiha outfit leaned casually, looking down on them with mild disdain. Uchiha. Mirai. Kuran and Asuma immediately recognized him, one of their peers, known as the new Uchiha prodigy, Uchiha Mirai. Sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you, Kuran said, instinctively apologizing. She knew her voice had been a bit loud. Humph. Asuma scoffed. And who do you think you are, ordering us around? If you're bothered, go somewhere else. Seeing Kuran apologize to someone other than him made Asuma feel humiliated, especially since it was someone he didn't like, Uchiha Mirai. Oh. Go away, hey. Mirai's lips curved into a dangerous smile. I can't touch your father, but I can handle you, he thought. Channeling chakra to his feet, Mirai descended effortlessly, stepping down the tree trunk as if it were flat ground. Both Kuran and Asuma gaped in shock. With her father being an elite jonin and Asuma being the Hokage's son, they were used to seeing skilled shinobi. But Mirai's precise control over his chakra was something they couldn't ignore. What are you doing? Asuma stammered, feeling the weight of Mirai's intense gaze. Nothing much. Just making sure you pay for your attitude, Mirai replied coldly. Why you wouldn't dare? Asuma shouted, bristling. Wouldn't dare. Mirai chuckled. And why is that? Because you're the Hokage's son. With a smirk, Mirai stepped forward, unmoved by the threat of Asuma's status. This is the perfect time to teach you a lesson. You, jerk. Asuma's face flushed. He hated being seen as just the Hokage's son, as if he had nothing else to offer. Boiling with anger, he lunged at Mirai, fists clenched. But Mirai was faster. In a flash, he crouched low, sweeping Asuma's legs out from under him with a powerful kick. Asuma's feet left the ground, and he hung briefly in midair. So fast. Asuma barely had a chance to react before Mirai delivered a swift kick to his chest, sending him flying backward with a pained shout. He hit the ground hard, groaning. You are too weak. Was that what gave you the confidence to run your mouth? Mirai scoffed, glancing dismissively at the fallen Asuma. After brushing some dust from his clothes, he turned to leave without a backward glance. Wait. Kuran called out. Turning, Mirai met her grateful gaze. Thank you. Mirai stopped, giving her a faint nod. Remember, those who try to push you around won't stop just because you're afraid or too soft-hearted. He patted her on the shoulder. Next time, handle it the way I did. Just then, a mechanical voice echoed in his mind. Congratulations, host. You have awakened the plunder system. Ding. Host has successfully plundered reward, physique +1. Comment. 15 comment. Vote. Chapter 2. The moment the mechanical voice sounded in his mind, Uchiha froze on the spot. As a transmigrator, he knew exactly what that voice in his head meant. A system. It was a system. After 10 years of being in this world, the system he had been wishing for had finally arrived. Uchiha had zero doubt that he was hearing things. After all, right in front of him, a faint blue, semi-transparent screen was floating in mid-air. Name. Uchiha. Physique. Mental strength. Chakra. Bloodline limit. Sharingan. Jutsu. Clone technique, transformation technique, body flicker technique, shadow clone technique, earth release, headhunter jutsu, fire release, great fireball jutsu. Other skills. Shuriken throwing, trap setting. Hey, you okay? Seeing Uchiha standing there like a statue with his hand gripping her shoulder, Kuran asked in concern. Uchiha snapped back to reality. Gazing at the girl in front of him, her face as cute as a porcelain doll, he couldn't help but smile. Those ruby-like eyes, that hint of baby fat on her cheeks. How had he not noticed before how adorable young Kuran was? Overcome with excitement, Uchiha instinctively cupped her face in his hands and planted a quick kiss on her forehead. This was his lucky charm. In the world of shinobi, early on, you rely on talent. Later, on bloodlines, and in the end, on cheats. With this system, he'd be unstoppable. Uchiha, you scoundrel. Thud. Before Mirai could react, Asuma Sarutobi, who'd just gotten to his feet, saw the scene in front of him. His goddess had just been kissed by Uchiha. The shock was too much, he went cross-eyed and fainted dead away. He hadn't even touched Kurene's hand, and yet Uchiha just kissed her? And right in front of him. Asuma felt his whole world shatter. Why you? Kurene backed up a couple of steps, pointing a trembling finger at Uchiha, her face as red as a tomato. She'd been kissed. I suddenly remembered a cat waiting for me to, discuss the meaning of life with it, so, gotta run. You big jerk. Watching Mirai's retreating figure, Kurene trembled with rage. Discussing the meaning of life with a cat? He couldn't even make up a convincing excuse. Unbelievable. Utterly unforgivable. She stomped her foot in frustration, then looked at the fainted Asuma on the ground, gritted her teeth, and ran after Mirai. After weaving through several side streets, Uchiha finally came to a stop near the village outskirts and turned to face his follower. Seeing him turn around, Kurene, who had been trailing him, puffed out her cheeks in a cute pout. Mirai couldn't help but chuckle at her expression. Though he was eager to find a quiet place to examine his new system, he calmed himself down when he saw she was still following him. We're almost at the Uchiha compound. Come on, he said, waving her forward. Kurene's cheeks flushed, but somehow she found herself trotting after him, almost as if by instinct. She didn't even know why she was following him, but she just couldn't let this whole ordeal slide without a word. Along the way, she kept her head down, conscious of the stares from the other Uchiha clan members. She'd heard that the Uchiha were a bit aloof, maybe even unfriendly to outsiders. Without Mirai here, she would never have dared to venture into Uchiha territory alone. Watch your step. There might be traps around here. Kurene blinked, surprised. Traps? In your own home? She tried looking around but couldn't detect anything. Remembering how Mirai had easily taken down Asuma earlier, she was reminded just how talented her classmate was. No wonder he was considered a genius. Among their peers, probably only Kakashi Hatake could challenge him. When they reached the courtyard, Kurene's curiosity only grew. Instead of the flower-filled gardens she'd seen in other courtyards, this one was filled with plants she didn't recognize. These are vegetables, Mirai said, as if reading her mind. Kurene's eyes sparkled as she took in the unfamiliar plants. So, the vegetables she ate every day came from things like these? Follow my steps and don't get distracted. Sorry. Realizing she was supposed to be careful, Kurene quickly refocused and followed him closely into the living room. She felt oddly excited, as if she were sneaking into forbidden territory. She glanced around. It was a simple, traditional home. Besides some basic furniture, the place was free of excess decor, and the floors were spotless. It was easy to tell that Mirai, who was an orphan, kept this place clean himself. Her opinion of him rose even higher. About earlier. I'm sorry for what I did, Mirai said, sitting down across from her. I don't know what came over me. I just acted on impulse. If there's anything I can do to make up for it, just let me know. Hey. Kurene was at a loss. She hadn't expected an apology, and now that she'd actually seen his home, she couldn't bring herself to demand anything. Clearly, he didn't live a luxurious life. And anyway, he'd already taught Asuma a lesson, maybe she should just let it slide? But acting on impulse? Was that his way of secretly confessing to her? How sudden. They'd known each other for a while, but today felt like the first real interaction they'd had. Should she reject him? Or? Lost in thought, Kurene was startled by the sound of her stomach growling loudly. Embarrassed, she clutched her belly. Why did it have to be so loud? So embarrassing. Wait here a minute, Mirai said, noticing her flushed cheeks with a small, amused smile. Such a cute little thing. Biting into the steaming food Mirai had prepared, Kurane's eyes widened in shock. This was amazing. She'd never tasted anything so delicious in her life. The flavors were so intense she could practically taste her tongue with each bite. What is this? It's incredible. Just some stir-fried shredded pork and braised ribs, Mirai replied nonchalantly. Made up the recipes as I went along. Glad you like it. You made these yourself? That's amazing. Kurane looked at him in awe. Not only was the food delicious, but he'd created these dishes himself? Wow, what kind of treasure boy was this? Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 10 comment. Vote. Chapter 3. After finishing her meal, Kurane patted her slightly rounded belly in satisfaction. She couldn't remember ever feeling this full. Strong, skilled with traps, grows his own vegetables, and on top of that, his cooking is amazing. Why does it feel like Uchiha Mirai is good at absolutely everything? And he's the same age as me, too. Kurane's gaze lingered on Mirai, her mind filled with curiosity. The handsome young man before her seemed nothing like the rumors. It's getting late. Uchiha Mirai's voice snapped Kurane out of her thoughts. Oh. Is it that late already? She glanced outside, surprised to see the sky darkened. A sudden warmth rose to her cheeks. She had completely lost track of time all because his food was just too delicious. When she caught Mirai looking at her with a confused expression, Kurane glared at him, annoyed. How could he not get it? Mirai blinked, puzzled. Just a moment ago, everything was fine. How did her mood shift so quickly? As they walked to the edge of the courtyard, Mirai moved to close the door behind her, only to notice Kurane casting a timid glance his way. Something wrong? Could you walk me out of the clan grounds? She asked softly. It's a bit scary here. It was the Uchiha clan territory, after all. Wandering around here at night seemed risky. All right. Mirai sighed, leading her out. Once they left the Uchiha grounds, Kurane paused and looked back at him. Thanks for the dinner, she said, and then she dashed off into the night. As she disappeared, Mirai's brows furrowed slightly. If even Kurane felt nervous around the Uchiha grounds, it was clear just how bad their reputation had become. Restoring the honor of the Uchiha clan, that would be no easy feat. Thinking of this, a cold gleam flickered in Mirai's eyes. Hiruzen Sarutobi, Danzo Shimura, just you wait. Back in the courtyard, Mirai headed to his usual training area and immediately started his daily routine. Earlier, he'd managed to plunder a bit of physique from Asuma Sarutobi. Now he finally had a chance to experience what that meant. After nearly 2 hours of intense training, he lay on the ground, exhausted but content, a slight smile tugging at his lips. Unlike a game where a stat increase was just a number, here in the real world, a boost in physique meant comprehensive improvements: strength, speed, endurance, even damage resistance. While it was just a small gain, Mirai could already feel the difference. System, he called out, curiosity getting the better of him. Do you have any other functions? No response. He tried again, whispering under his breath. Hello? Can you hear me? Nothing. Not a single reply. Fine, then, he thought to himself. Guess I'll have to figure this out on my own. It's called the plunder system, right? The name itself is a big hint. It's meant for taking things from others. Today, it was physique, but maybe I can plunder other attributes too. Skills, jutsu, even Kekii Genkai might not be off limits. As an avid reader in his past life, Mirai had read countless novels, all in preparation for the day he'd find himself in a situation like this. His mind raced with ideas about the system's potential. Of course, some things still needed to be tested. For example, did plundering only work in combat, or were there other triggers? Was every battle guaranteed to yield something, or was it a matter of chance? Could he plunder multiple times from the same person? And was there a cooldown? He made a mental note to explore each of these questions thoroughly. His future depended on understanding this system inside and out. The next day at the academy, Mirai was catching up on some sleep in his usual back row seat by the window when he sensed someone standing close by, a hint of perfume wafting over. Raising his head, he found Kurane staring at him with wide eyes and a mix of disbelief and awe. What's up? Kurane blinked, snapping back to reality. You can still sleep. Why wouldn't I? Mirai replied, amused. Aren't you worried that the third Hokage will be after you? Why would he do that? Kurane sighed, clearly frustrated. Because you beat up Asuma Sarutobi yesterday. The third son. Don't you think he might have a problem with that? Oh, that. Mirai shrugged nonchalantly. I'm not concerned. The Hokage is the Hokage of the entire village first, and only a father second. He wouldn't hold a grudge over something so minor. How can you be so sure? Do you actually know the third that well? Mirai gave her a calm look. No, but I do know the will of fire. Hiruzen Sarutobi cares deeply about his reputation. All I did was rough Asuma up a little, I didn't do any lasting harm. He'd never make a fuss over something so trivial. Besides, most people probably expect Uchiha clan members to act like this anyway. Kurane could only stare at him, speechless. She hadn't expected Mirai's bold confidence to come from his understanding of the will of fire. Very well said. The loud, enthusiastic voice cut through the room, drawing everyone's attention. Sitting in front of Mirai, a spiky-haired boy with goggles spun around. Mirai, you're obnoxious, but you're right about that. Someone who upholds the will of fire like the third would never hassle you over beating up his son. Obito Uchiha beamed at him, his usual goofiness on full display. It's a surprise that someone like you actually gets it. Mirai just glanced at Obito, unmoved. He'd never felt much affection for him, and since arriving in this world, Obito had treated him as a rival, often throwing jabs his way. TCH, Obito muttered, annoyed by Mirai's indifference. He turned back around, leaving the class buzzing with whispers. Wait, did Obito just say the third Hokage's son? That's Asuma, right? Did Mirai actually beat up Asuma? Is that for real? It must be. Look at Asuma, he's got some cuts on his face and hands. Only an Uchiha would have the nerve to beat up the Hokage's kid, one of the students whispered in awe. Asuma could only bury his head in his arms, wishing the ground would swallow him up. Comment. 3 comment. Vote. Chapter 4. The Hokage Residence. Sarutobi Hiruzen exhaled a plume of smoke, letting his hand hover over the crystal ball to clear its image. First and foremost, I am the Hokage of this village, only then can I be a father to my children, he murmured. This kid doesn't know me, yet he grasps the will of fire, quite an intriguing little brat. Just as Uchiha Mirai had guessed, Hiruzen wasn't particularly bothered by the fact that his son Asuma had been beaten up. After all, very little that happened in the village escaped his notice. Yesterday's events were Asuma's fault. If someone managed to teach him a lesson, then so be it. With that thought, Hiruzen reached over, retrieved a scroll from beside his desk, and wrote down Uchiha Mirai's name. Initially, he had planned for Mirai to join the Konoha police force after graduation. Now, he had a different plan. He would keep the boy close, watch him personally. Uchiha Mirai, so you think you understand the will of fire? Let's see how deeply you truly grasp it. Hiruzen's gaze grew thoughtful. The Uchiha clan had slowly started fading from the village's inner circles of power, and murmurs of dissent were brewing. It was only a few Uchiha for now, but in the name of preventing the worst, he needed to make preparations. An Uchiha Mirai he would be his planted seed, a precautionary measure for the future. Rai-ing. The class bell signaled the end of the lesson, and the room burst into chatter. Mirai blinked his bleary eyes awake, then walked over to Kurane's desk. Move it. Not even looking up, Kurane was busy packing up her things, assuming it was another annoying classmate. But when the person didn't budge, she finally glanced up and saw Mirai watching her quietly. Mirai. Sorry, I thought you were someone else. Mirai waved his hand dismissively. No need to explain. Do you want to train with me? Hey. Kurane looked at him in surprise. Mirai, usually a lone wolf, was inviting her to train together? Was she dreaming? Or, did he really feel something for her? Kurane's heart started beating faster. Mirai's expression was getting a bit impatient, and she quickly nodded. Yes, I'd like that. Good. You said you wanted me to make it up to you, right? I've thought of how. Without waiting for her response, Mirai turned and headed outside. As she followed, Asuma watched them go, his fists clenched. Uchiha Mirai, just you wait. I swear I'll make you pay 100 times over for the humiliation you gave me. Walking through Konoha's streets, Mirai led Kurane to a secluded forest clearing on the village outskirts. A spacious area surrounded by wooden training posts, with a small, crystal-clear stream running nearby. Is this where you usually train, Mirai? Kurane asked curiously, taking in the serene landscape. Yet. Mirai cut to the chase, beckoning her with a hand. Attack me. I want to gauge your strength. Without further delay, Kurane readied herself. He'd been experimenting all day but hadn't yet managed to activate his plunder system. After yesterday's incident, Mirai suspected that only through real combat could he unlock rewards. Hence his invitation to Kurane. Well, don't go easy on me, Kurane replied with a confident grin. Just a few seconds into their sparring. Ding. Congratulations to the host. Reward plundered, +1 to mental strength. The system's voice echoed in Mirai's mind, and he smirked. He had been right, combat was the key to activating his plunder system. He felt a refreshing clarity wash over his mind, as if a warm surge had passed through his eyes. Mirai, your eyes. Kurane gasped. Mirai frowned in confusion as Kurane handed him a small mirror. Glancing at it, he saw his Sharingan had evolved to a two-tomo form. So, mental energy strengthens not only my mind but also boosts my visual prowess, and even speeds up Sharingan recovery time. Nice. Each evolution of the Sharingan required an adjustment period, during which it couldn't be deactivated. Not that Mirai cared, he gestured for Kurane to come at him again. Come on. A few minutes later, Kurane, eyes red and watery, slumped to the ground. No more. I'm done. What was this? He'd called it a spar, but it had just been her getting pounded left and right. He showed zero restraint. And he even kept going after she'd clearly lost. The only reason she hadn't stormed off was because he'd stepped in for her yesterday and treated her to an amazing meal. Otherwise, she would have been long gone. A delicate flower that can't withstand hardship will only wither in the night before sunrise, Mirai said nonchalantly. If you can't handle this, then you might want to reconsider being a ninja. Drawing on his previous life's experience, he knew better than to coddle her now. That would only make things worse. Who says I can't handle it? Sniffing, Kuran rubbed her eyes and shook off her frustration. She hadn't noticed that she'd inadvertently been pulled into his tough love routine. I'll be waiting for the day you surpass me, Mirai replied with a smirk. For now, take a break. Kids who hadn't been through 9 years of mandatory schooling were easy to handle. Relieved, Mirai sat down beside her and began mulling over his system. After a dozen rounds of sparring, he had only triggered the plunder system once, which probably meant it had a daily limit. Well, that meant he couldn't farm rewards constantly through battle, but no matter. Each gain was a permanent boost to his attributes, and that was more than enough for him. Satisfied, he called up his system status screen in his mind. Name: Uchiha Mirai. Physique: 8. Mental strength: 21. Chakra: 7. Kekkei Genkai. Sharingan. Nothing was more satisfying than watching his stats steadily climb every day. Oh, right, Kuran. You said you'd thought of how I could make it up to you. She brightened up at the memory. I love your cooking. Make me a meal like yesterday's, and I'll forgive you for, you know, the kiss. Just thinking about yesterday's food made Kuran's mouth water. There was no resisting it. That's all. Mirai raised an eyebrow. She nodded vigorously, even swallowing back another drool. Watching her, Mirai couldn't help but feel a mischievous urge. Before she could react, he cupped her chubby cheeks, planting quick kisses on her forehead. A week's worth of meals, on me. Hey! Are you trying to get yourself killed? Kuran sprang up, her face crimson. What was going on in this guy's head? That's it, I'm done with you. Oh? Then I guess you don't want any more meals. Skip one, and I'll never forgive you. Watching her storm off, Mirai couldn't help but chuckle to himself. Girls really did smell nice. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. For comment. Vote. Chapter 5. Back at the Uchiha compound. Mirai spotted a family clan ninja waiting in front of his door. Uchiha Mirai, the clan head has asked to see you. Understood. After quickly washing up, Mirai followed the clan ninja to the residence of the current Uchiha leader, Uchiha Tajima. Clan head Tajima. Mirai, have a seat. As he looked at the aging Tajima, Mirai quietly sat down, waiting for him to speak. Seeing Mirai's calm demeanor, a trace of approval crossed Tajima's face. A promising kid, no wonder even the third Hokage has taken notice. The third. That's right. I called you here today because of that very matter. Seeing the confusion on Mirai's face, Tajima didn't keep him in suspense. The third Hokage sent a message requesting that, after you graduate from the academy, you be assigned to one of the village's ninja teams. What do you think about that? Tajima's gaze settled on Mirai. I'm willing to follow the clan's arrangements. Mirai replied straightforwardly. Right now, he was still in the early stages of his growth, not in a position to object. He realized Tajima likely wasn't truly seeking his input, just assessing him. If he thought Tajima actually wanted his opinion, he'd be far too naive. As for Hiruzen's intentions, he had a good guess. The third likely wanted to groom him, perhaps even shape him into someone like Uchiha Shisui or Uchiha Itachi in the future, a double agent loyal to the village. In that case, it worked to his advantage. At least he wouldn't be immediately targeted by the village's higher UPS. Good. Tajima looked pleased. As a reward, you may make one request, and the clan will try to fulfill it. Mirai considered this carefully before responding. I'd like for you to arrange a mentor, someone skilled, to train me when possible. With his plunder system, sparring with stronger opponents would be beneficial for his growth. Powerful ninjas often had valuable techniques. Oh. Tajima hadn't expected that. He'd assumed Mirai would ask for money or scrolls, not a personal mentor. A clever kid indeed, such guidance was far more valuable than any money or scroll. Fugaku. Tajima called out. A tall, broad-shouldered man with a square face entered the room. Yes, father. When you have free time, give Mirai some training. Understood. The next day, after classes ended at the academy, Mirai dropped off a homemade bento for Kuran to reheat at home, then headed to his meeting place with Fugaku. Show me what you've got, Fugaku said without any pleasantries. Without holding back, Mirai activated his two-tomo Sharingan. He didn't plan on hiding his skills, it would only make him appear weak if he tried to play it coy. Two-tomo already? Fugaku raised his eyebrows, clearly impressed. Achieving a two-tomo Sharingan at this age, without external resources, was no small feat. But as Mirai shifted into an offensive stance, Fugaku frowned slightly. You plan on fighting me barehanded? What about this? Mirai pulled a wooden training kunai from his pouch. Most of his money went toward food, especially meat, so he couldn't afford more advanced equipment. Humph. I don't have time for children's games. Fugaku tossed a steel kunai at Mirai. Use this. Fire style, fireball. As soon as Fugaku moved, Mirai sprang into action, launching his attack. He executed a body flicker, instantly positioning himself behind Fugaku. With a swift kick aimed at Fugaku's head, Mirai was just about to land his blow when Fugaku's arm shot up, catching Mirai's ankle mid-air. Crafty, Fugaku grunted, swinging Mirai down toward the ground. Boom. Dust scattered as Mirai's body burst into a puff of smoke. A shadow clone. Fugaku muttered, frowning. Earth release, Double suicide decapitation technique. T/N, while lurking underground, the user grabs a target and drags them into the earth, leaving only their head above the surface. Because victims are rendered unable to move in this state, they are easily subjected to torture or decapitation. Two hands emerged from the ground, grabbing Fugaku's ankles and pulling down sharply. Poof. Fugaku's body transformed into a block of wood, a classic substitution. Missed. Mirai clicked his tongue, scanning for Fugaku's next move. Suddenly, a dozen shuriken whizzed toward him. Mirai leaped back, grabbing the steel kunai Fugaku had tossed him earlier, and expertly deflected the incoming projectiles with his Sharingan. In that moment, Fugaku appeared at his side, swinging a kick toward Mirai's head. Bam! 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 They engaged in close combat, but Mirai quickly found himself outmatched. Fugaku was faster, stronger, and more skilled. Stop! I surrender, Mirai said, bowing out without hesitation. He'd exhausted all his techniques, and continuing would only result in a one-sided beating. Not bad, Fugaku remarked, genuinely impressed. Mirai's sudden attack, his strategic use of the clone jutsu, and his choice of the right moments to strike had all surprised Fugaku. The timing had been so precise that he genuinely felt pressured. If not for his quick reactions, Fugaku might have been caught off guard. Fugaku now viewed Mirai with newfound respect. Though Mirai's raw strength wasn't impressive yet, he was still just a student at the academy. The potential he showed was remarkable. Without realizing what Fugaku was thinking, Mirai was caught up in his own thoughts. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully plundering. Uchiha style Kenjutsu. Name: Uchiha Mirai. Physique: 8. Mental strength: 21. Chakra: 7. Kekkei Genkai. Sharingan. Ninjutsu. Skills: Shuriken throwing technique, trap setting, Uchiha style Kenjutsu. As the system's voice echoed in his mind, a flood of knowledge surged into Mirai's thoughts. Besides techniques from the leaf sword style, he gained invaluable battle experience and insights. In just seconds, Mirai's swordsmanship skills were now on par with Fugaku's. Just what I'd expect from the system, Mirai muttered. It's overpowered. In this stage where his chakra was still limited, gaining these sword skills was a huge boost. When he looked up, he noticed Fugaku watching him closely. So, have you given any thought to what I asked earlier? Hey? What was that? You brat. Fugaku clenched his jaw. A true ninja should have a weapon of their own. What type do you want? Mirai grinned. There was no need to think about it. I'll take a sword. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 5 comment. Vote. Chapter 6. In the dense woods of Konoha, Mirai stood on an open training field, wielding a long blade with swift, unrelenting strikes. His movements, while fierce like a storm, carried the grace of a butterfly in flight. Enhanced by his Sharingan, the unique flair of the Uchiha sword style shone through him with remarkable elegance. Clang! With a final echoing sound, Mirai sheathed his blade and stood still. Not bad at all, he thought to himself, admiring the sword. It was no surprise this blade, capable of channeling chakra, was incredibly rare and expensive, something even seasoned jonin might struggle to obtain. Yet Uchiha Fugaku had gifted it to him outright. Such generosity could only be described as beyond excessive. Just then, a young girl dashed out of the nearby bushes. Mirai, have you been waiting long? She asked. Mirai looked at the doll-like face of Kuran and smiled, shaking his head. Oh, good, she sighed with relief. Her gaze shifted curiously. Why did you want to train with me again? Do you really think my skills can help you? Of course. Mirai's smile broadened. Kuran, training with you is what I look forward to the most every day. He wasn't lying. After receiving only C-rank jutsu as rewards from Fugaku for 3 days straight, Mirai decided to stop relying on him. Fugaku certainly had a lot of techniques, but that also meant his power was spread thin across many skills, lowering the chance of Mirai obtaining something truly worthwhile. Besides, any strong jutsu he did manage to steal from Fugaku would be difficult to explain if he used it openly. Instead, sparring with Kuran was a much better option for him right now, especially with the system granting him permanent attribute points from their sessions. Much more efficient. Look at you, saying things like that. Kuran's face turned pink as she chided him. You're getting bolder with your words. Alright, Kuran, let's start today's training, Mirai urged, shifting back into his stance. Clenching her fists, Kuran answered, fine, but this time, I won't go down so easily. 3 minutes later, Kuran stared at the sword at her throat and swallowed nervously. At this close range, she could practically feel the coldness emanating from its blade. I give up, she said, admitting defeat. Facing Mirai's attacks, she had been completely overwhelmed, unable to even retaliate. Ding! Congratulations, host. Successfully acquired reward, chakra +1. As he felt a surge in his chakra reserves, Mirai lowered his blade. Sure enough, sparring with Kuran, who hadn't learned any complicated jutsu, was the ideal choice. Kuran, let's call it a day for training, he said. I'll go catch some fish, and we can have grilled fish for dinner. Kuran's eyes lit up, and she nodded obediently. Mirai's cooking was excellent, and she eagerly looked forward to their post-training meals together. Soon enough, Mirai returned with 2 large, freshly cleaned fish. Taking out his homemade seasonings, he expertly began grilling them over a fire. The delicious aroma filled the air, making Kurane's mouth water. "It's ready," Mirai announced, handing her a piece. Kurane took the fish eagerly. "Ouch, hot," she exclaimed, fanning her mouth as she chewed, her eyes wide with delight. Watching her, Mirai couldn't help but chuckle softly to himself. From now on, power, companions, he was going to have it all. Over the next month, Mirai continued sparring with Kurane every day at the training grounds. Under the system's rewards, his power grew at an astonishing rate. Physique, 25. Mental strength, 25. Chakra, 17. Bloodline limit, Sharingan. Jutsu. Clone technique, transformation technique, body flicker, shadow clone technique, earth release, double suicide decapitation technique, fire style, fireball jutsu, fire release, phoenix sage fire technique, fire release, dragon fire technique, wind style, gale blade. Other skills. Shuriken throwing, trap setting, Uchiha style kenjutsu. Compared to where he'd started, all his attributes had increased massively, especially his physical strength, which had more than tripled. Speed, power, endurance, every aspect of his body had undergone an all-around boost. His chakra reserves had also increased by 10 points, now double what he'd had before awakening the system. Even his chakra recovery rate had noticeably improved. By his estimation, his current strength was 4 or 5 times what it had been just a month ago. At this rate, given enough time, who knew what limits he could surpass? Uchiha Madara? The Otsutsuki? He'd trample them all underfoot. Mirai, the graduation exam is tomorrow. Are you nervous? Kurane asked, swallowing a piece of grilled meat and glancing at him. It's just an exam. Nothing to worry about, he replied nonchalantly. True, Kurane nodded. For a genius like you, exams must be a breeze. Over the past month, she'd grown increasingly in awe of Mirai's strength. No matter how much she improved, she found herself utterly defeated every time they sparred. You'll do fine, too, Mirai said, noticing her slight anxiety. With your skill, passing will be no problem. Really? She asked, hope in her voice. I never lie. Something about the way he said it, the calm confidence in his gaze, made her feel reassured. Every time she looked into his dark eyes, she felt an inexplicable urge to believe him. It's getting late. See you tomorrow, he said, heading back toward the Uchiha compound after they parted. When Mirai reached his home, he found Uchiha Fugaku waiting for him at the entrance. You're finally here, Fugaku said. Is there something you need? Mirai asked flatly, showing little warmth. His feelings toward Fugaku were less than positive. This was the man who would one day lead the Uchiha clan to its downfall. The only reason he even interacted with him was to treat him as a source of rewards. In Mirai's mind, once his strength was sufficient, Fugaku would be the first to go. A man who would only cause trouble by constantly bending to Konoha's leadership. Noticing Mirai's aloof demeanor, Fugaku didn't seem bothered. He assumed it was simply the pride of a genius. After all, that attitude was common among the Uchiha. Looking into Mirai's eyes, Fugaku spoke with a serious tone. I came to tell you, at tomorrow's graduation exam, you should keep a low profile. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 6 comment. Vote. Chapter 7. Keep a low profile. That's right. Fugaku Uchiha nodded. I know. With your skill, crushing the others in your class is easy. But remember, the tallest tree catches the most wind. Your talent could make the village wary of our clan. So, for tomorrow's evaluation, hold back a bit. Hearing Fugaku's words, Mirai Uchiha understood his reasoning. Though he'd known for a while that Fugaku's calm exterior hid a cautious heart, he hadn't expected him to be this cautious, asking him to deliberately underperform in his graduation exam. The tallest tree catches the wind? Ridiculous. Weakness doesn't bring mercy from the strong, it only invites greater oppression. Mirai replied coolly. To break free from our situation, we can't ever stop throwing punches. Here, in the Uchiha compound, he had no reason to worry about the Hokage faction's prying ears, so he spoke freely. He found Fugaku's proposal contemptible. If retreating could solve anything, the Uchiha wouldn't have been nearly wiped out in the original story. On the contrary, only by showing strength would they make those with ambition think twice. Do you even understand what you're saying? Fugaku asked in disbelief, unable to comprehend how a boy his age could speak with such conviction. Words like these would endanger the entire Uchiha clan if they got out. Of course I do, Mirai said. These eyes see a clear path to the future. In the darkness, his Sharingan gleamed with a chilling, fierce energy. The Uchiha pride will never be broken. With that, Mirai closed the door behind him. Constantly retreating only encourages oppression until there's nowhere left to go, just an endless descent into a pit. The Uchiha clan's fate in the original timeline was proof enough. Staring at the closed door, Fugaku's expression wavered. He hadn't expected to be lectured by a child. A low chuckle echoed from the shadows. Ha ha ha. Fugaku, didn't I tell you this boy was something else? So, do you believe me now? Father. Fugaku quickly bowed when he saw Tajima Uchiha step forward. Fugaku, that child understands better than you do. Remember, constant retreat is no wise strategy. Fugaku, frustrated, protested, but, ever since the second Hokage, the village has been wary of us. Someone like Mirai could just increase their suspicion. Humph. Tajima's smile faded. Remember, Fugaku, we have never wronged this village. Then, with a sigh, he continued, my time is nearly up. When I pass, you'll be the clan leader. And as leader, you're too cautious, too hesitant. You need to act decisively. Mirai will be a strong ally, you should foster a good relationship with him. Yes, father, Fugaku responded, though a glint of disdain flashed in his eyes. To him, Mirai was like a ticking time bomb, bound to bring disaster to the clan. Best to keep his distance. Ninja Academy. Classroom. Today's the day of the graduation exam. If we pass, we'll finally be real shinobi. Yet. Soon, I'll have my own headband. Haha. Imagine. We'll be able to take missions. I'm getting pumped just thinking about it. Just you wait. Before long, the entire ninja world will know my name. Stop dreaming. You need to pass the exam first. Speaking of which, I hope I don't end up in the same group as Mirai. That'd be a nightmare. Yet, with him around, you're just asking to lose. Most of the students wore excited expressions, eagerly awaiting the graduation exam. Becoming a ninja and inheriting the will of fire, it was an honor. Just then, Mirai Uchiha entered the classroom. At his arrival, the chatter died down as everyone silently watched him take his seat. Only then did they resume their conversations, though at a noticeably lower volume. TCH. It's guys like him that give the Uchiha a bad reputation, Obito muttered under his breath, annoyed by Mirai's distant demeanor. Obito. Rin Nohara gave him a reproachful glance. Don't badmouth classmates behind their backs. With a reluctant nod, Obito turned away, only to make a face at Mirai. You better hope you don't meet me in the exam, or you might not graduate at all. This year's graduation test wasn't a simple assessment of basic jutsu like the clone or transformation techniques. Instead, it was a drawn combat exam, where students would face off in pairs. Their graduation depended on how well they performed in the battle, as determined by the proctors. In response to Obito's taunt, Mirai calmly muttered two words, dead last. What did you just say? Obito's face turned red with anger. Obito. Calm down, Rin said, exasperated as Obito climbed up onto his desk, fuming. Rin, let me go. Today, I'm teaching him a lesson, he yelled. Humph. You think you're any match for Mirai? Kuranaya chimed in, sitting next to Mirai. If you were in a team with him, you'd be lucky to even get a chance to fight. Shows what you know. Obito scoffed, indignant. I've got a secret weapon. Mirai's no match for me. Oh, a secret weapon, hey. Afraid yet? Better pray you're not in my group, cause I won't hold back. While Obito gloated, their instructor strode in. Alright, settle down. Follow me to the field, the exam's about to start. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 7 comment. Vote. Chapter 8. Ninja Academy Grounds. Instructors from the Ninja Academy were all lined up, directing the graduating students into neat rows. Not far off on the viewing platform, the third Hokage and a gathering of elite jonin stood observing the proceedings. Today, everything had to be flawless. This year's kids sure are lively, Hiruzen remarked, taking a puff from his pipe. His face wrinkled up into a contented smile. Humph. Ninjas are tools. What's with all this laughing and joking around? Danzo Shimura grunted, frowning. Danzo, you're too harsh, Hiruzen chided, casting a disapproving glance at him. There are quite a few promising kids among this year's candidates. Oh. Orochimaru's snake-like pupils narrowed with interest as he glanced at Hiruzen. Who caught your eye, sensei? Uchiha Mirai. I hear he already wields the two-tomo Sharingan and has trained under Fugaku. He understands the will of fire well and, overall, he's hard to fault, Hiruzen replied calmly. TCH, Danzo scoffed, turning his head in disdain. An Uchiha brat understanding the will of fire? Hardly. Orochimaru, however, kept his gaze fixed on the field, his tongue flicking over his lips. A ninja with a Kekii Genkai was undeniably stronger from the start. He himself had hit a ceiling in his growth. It had been a long time since he'd felt any real progress. If only he could acquire such a powerful bloodline. Kakashi, if all goes as expected, Mirai will be your opponent today. Don't underestimate him, Hiruzen said to the young Hotaki Kakashi, who was standing off to the side, mask covering his face. Though Kakashi had graduated years ahead of his peers, he still hadn't found a compatible team. In isolation, he'd only become more withdrawn. So, at Minato Namikaze's suggestion, Hiruzen had arranged for Kakashi to take part in this year's graduation trials. I won't lose, Kakashi replied with a hint of cold confidence in his voice. Known as the Leaf's greatest genius, he was sure he wouldn't fall to anyone his age. Ha ha ha. I'm looking forward to seeing a great battle, Hiruzen chuckled. Then he turned to Minato, who stood behind him with a warm, sunny expression on his youthful face. Minato, this is your first time serving as a Jonin instructor. Do you have anyone in mind for your team? I've reviewed their files, Lord Hokage. I already have a few candidates in mind, Minato said, scratching the back of his head with a smile. Good, Hiruzen nodded, satisfied. As they continued their conversation, the graduation exams officially began. Those whose names I call, step forward. This match will decide your futures, so give it everything you've got. Don't take this lightly, boisterous Oyamajan's deep voice echoed across the field, and the atmosphere became charged with tension. First match, Might Guy vs Uchiha Obito. The moment his name was called, a boy with a bowl cut and a bright green jumpsuit dashed excitedly to the center of the field. Didn't expect to go first. Guess I'd better put on a good show, he grinned, giving a thumbs up with a toothy smile. This is the power of youth. Obito Uchiha, meanwhile, muttered irritably to himself. TCH, so my opponent's a dropout? I was hoping to knock some sense into that Mirai punk. Facing Guy, the instructor raised his arm high. There's no need for a seal of confrontation or reconciliation this time, this is a real ninja battle. Try not to get killed. A ripple of excitement ran through the crowd as everyone's faces reflected a mix of anticipation, anxiety, and exhilaration. Listen, bowl cut, Obito smirked, you'd better just give up now. I won't be holding back. If there was anyone at the academy whose scores were worse than his, it was this guy. Obito was confident that the match would go his way. Retreating isn't an option in youth. Guy declared, clenching his fist. I'll be giving it my all. Seeing that they were ready, the instructor swung his arm down sharply. Let the match begin. Go, Obito, came Rin's voice from the sidelines. Obito turned, flashing her a confident grin. Don't worry, Rin. I'm definitely gonna. Leaf whirlwind. Before he could finish, a powerful kick from Guy sent him flying across the field. With a loud thud, Obito landed and lay unconscious. Might Guy wins. Watching this turn of events, Rin sighed, covering her face in mild embarrassment. What was Obito even doing out there? Haha. That was too good, Kuran laughed from the sidelines. And he thought he could take on Mirai. Where does he get all that confidence? The audience erupted with laughter as they watched Obito, who'd been knocked out in a single kick. The instructor shook his head, sighing. He'd matched Obito with Guy, thinking it'd be a fair fight, yet Obito hadn't even managed to get a hit in. The exam continued. Next up, Kuran vs Ebisu. Good luck, Mirai encouraged Kuran with a smile. She gave him a determined nod and quickly stepped to the center of the field. Ebisu, his face flushed, glanced down nervously, unable to look her in the eyes. He's just as awkward as he is in the original storyline, Mirai thought with a knowing smile. This match is a done deal. Sure enough, Kuran easily defeated Ebisu. Despite his later reputation as a skilled ninja, thanks to Naruto's sexy jutsu, he didn't even last 10 minutes against Kuran. Mirai. I won. Kuran ran back to Mirai, practically glowing with happiness. You've been pushing yourself so hard to keep up with me that you've outpaced nearly everyone here, Mirai replied with a faint smile. Mirai. You're so cool, she said, blushing, her eyes brimming with admiration. Ignoring the envious looks around them, Mirai reached out and patted her head. Don't be silly, I'm just honest. I love speaking the truth. The battles went on, most following a predictable pattern. Then, just as Mirai was starting to get a bit bored, he heard his name announced. Next match, Uchiha Mirai vs Sarutobi Asuma. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 3 comment. Vote. Chapter 9. At the sound of his name, Mirai stepped calmly into the center of the training grounds, unfazed by the crowd's stares. In contrast, Asuma darted into the ring in a flash, grinning eagerly. Mirai, this time, I'll beat you in front of everyone. I'll show Kuran who the real strong one is. Since Mirai had easily defeated him last time, Asuma had been training relentlessly, shedding his usual nonchalance for a single goal, to prove his strength here, in front of everyone. But while Asuma's eyes were alight with excitement, Mirai's expression remained utterly still, unreadable. Asuma, Mirai said, voice calm, you're still so naive. Strength isn't the only thing that attracts girls. Whether you're strong or not, Kuran's never going to like you. A small smirk tugged at the corner of his mouth. Besides, from where I stand, all your bluster just makes you sound like a buzzing fly. I've already started planning for my next opponent. Asuma's fists clenched, his eyes blazing with anger. A fly? He was just a stepping stone, something to be brushed aside? All right, are you both ready? The instructor barely suppressed a chuckle as he observed. Mirai's words had cut deep, so he quickly signaled the start of the match before Asuma's confidence was completely shattered. With a sharp whoosh, several shurikens sliced through the air, heading toward Mirai from all directions. Asuma was right behind them, seizing the opportunity to attack with a kunao aimed straight at Mirai's side. Too slow. Mirai's voice was almost a sigh as he sidestepped, raising a knee to kick Asuma square in the chest. But Asuma had anticipated this, crossing his arms to block the blow and using the impact to flip backward through the air. Mid-flip, his hands flashed through a series of seals. Fire style, ash pile burning. T/N, the user spews a stream of chakra-infused gunpowder from their mouth, which surrounds the region. As the gunpowder is composed entirely of ash, it stays in the air around the victim like a cloud, which can be used like a smokescreen. A thick cloud of searing ash erupted around Mirai, engulfing him. Asuma bit down, igniting the ash with a spark. Boom. The explosion echoed across the training ground, the ground itself trembling with its force. Whoa, is that a real jutsu? Guess that's the power of the Hokage's son. What a fierce technique. You think Mirai survived that? The spectators were wide-eyed, stunned by the display of power. Even Kuran, usually confident in Mirai's strength, looked on with tense worry, beads of sweat forming on her forehead. Mirai, you'd better be okay. Ha ha ha. I did it. Asuma's face lit up with triumph. There was no way Mirai had walked away from that unscathed. He'd finally shown up, that arrogant jerk. Feeling a bit smug, aren't you? A mocking voice sounded directly behind him. Asuma froze, panic flashing across his face. How could Mirai possibly have? Before he could fully comprehend, he felt himself lifted off the ground, thrown backward by a powerful kick. He skidded to a stop, barely registering the cold steel of a blade embedded into the ground beside his neck. Gulp. Asuma swallowed hard. The blade was so close that even the tiniest shift would have cut through his throat. Match over. The winner, Mirai Uchiha. The crowd burst into shocked chatter. No way. Asuma was winning, and then Mirai just turned it all around. Wow. Mirai's really on a whole different level. Mirai left the ring, face calm as ever, and a faintly glowing panel appeared before him. Ding. Congratulations, host. Reward acquired, +1 to Constitution. Name. Mirai Uchiha. Physique. Mental strength. Chakra. Bloodline limit. Sharingan. Ninjutsu. Others. Feeling his body subtly strengthen, Mirai thought to himself, the perks of a cheat system really are unbeatable. Mirai. Are you alright? Kuran hurried over, her voice laced with concern. If someone like Asuma could really stop me, my journey would have ended a long time ago. Kuran's eyes sparkled. He's so confident. That's the Mirai I know. The exams continued. Victors clashed with victors, losers against losers, and Mirai tore his way through every match with ease, rising quickly to the top. He really is Konoha's strongest rookie. No one can touch him. Yet, as much as I hate to admit it, he's just on a whole other level. Why can't I have talent like that? When Mirai was declared the top scorer, the crowd responded with unsurprised murmurs. Even Obito, who'd always viewed Mirai as a rival, had to concede Mirai's superiority. Hold up, the instructor interjected. There's still one more match. Everyone looked at him, puzzled. Another match. I thought it was over. Ahem, by the third Hokage's orders, Kakashi Hatake, who graduated early, will also be taking part in this exam. And, by the rules, his opponent will be the top scorer, Mirai Uchiha. What? The crowd buzzed with astonishment. Hatake Kakashi? The legendary genius of Konoha, Kakashi Hatake himself, he'd be fighting too? Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 5 comment. Vote. Chapter 10. Of course it wouldn't end so simply. Mirai shoved his hands in his pockets, slowly stepping into the center of the training grounds. Kakashi Hatake, who had graduated long ago, wasn't required to take this graduation exam. But Hiruzen Sarutobi had clearly planned for this. He'd arranged for Kakashi to face Mirai, likely to dampen the Uchiha's ambitions and send a message that the power of the Hokage faction far surpassed that of the Uchiha both now and in the future. But, feeling the strength coursing through his body, Mirai allowed a small smirk to escape. Hiruzen was going to be disappointed. As Mirai took his position, Kakashi entered the grounds, instantly stirring the crowd. The genius of Konoha, the famed Hatake orphan, had quite a following. This is gonna be a good show. I bet Uchiha Mirai's going to lose badly. Obviously. Mirai's talented, sure, but he's nowhere close to Kakashi's level. Kakashi's already graduated. It's almost cruel to have him participate now, isn't it? I can't wait to see Mirai get crushed. Go, Kakashi. Show him there's a gap even between geniuses. Kakashi's appearance had the crowd completely against Mirai. No matter how strong he was, no one believed he could stand up to Kakashi Hatake. Fugaku, you don't mind that I set Kakashi up against Mirai, do you? Hiruzen asked, glancing over at Fugaku Uchiha. Of course not, Fugaku responded respectfully. Mirai's too full of himself. It wouldn't hurt for him to take a hit to his ego. Fugaku barely suppressed a smirk, recalling Mirai's arrogance last night. Did the boy really think a bit of talent would let him do as he pleased? In the face of the village, the Uchiha clan's power was insignificant. After Kakashi crushed him, Mirai would learn that survival meant submission. Hiruzen nodded approvingly at Fugaku's obedience. Unlike Tajima Uchiha, Fugaku was far easier to handle. Perhaps, it was time to consider removing Tajima from his position. In the center of the field, Kakashi's eyes were flat and emotionless, betraying nothing. Mirai's earlier performance hadn't fazed him. Moreover, Mirai had just fought several rounds, even if his opponents weren't particularly strong, it would have drained some of his stamina. This was far from a fair fight. But Kakashi had no intention of waiting for Mirai to recover. Since his father's death, Kakashi had learned one thing: everything else was trivial compared to the mission. Mirai, on the other hand, looked eager. Facing someone as skilled as Kakashi was the perfect way to test his progress. Ready? Begin, shouted the instructor, his hopes of a pre-fight trash talk session dashed as the two stared each other down in silence. As soon as the signal was given, Kakashi unsheathed his short sword, blurring forward like a shadow toward Mirai. Not underestimating his opponent, Mirai drew his own blade and met Kakashi head-on. So, this is the Hotaki swordsmanship. Right from the first exchange, Mirai felt the pressure. Kakashi's strikes were swift and precise, each one aimed to exploit any opening he found. One misstep, and Mirai knew he'd lose. Told you, Mirai's no match for Kakashi. He's totally getting pushed around. Just wait, he'll go down soon. Kakashi's the real genius here. Mirai doesn't even come close. The crowd's sneers grew louder as Mirai fell into a defensive rhythm. So they think I'll lose. Mirai chuckled softly. The Uchiha reputation sure was tarnished, everyone here wanted him to fail. Pathetic. Mirai's chakra surged, and his eyes turned crimson, the Sharingan awakening in a blaze of scarlet. So that's the Uchiha bloodline limit. For the first time, a flicker of unease crossed Kakashi's impassive gaze. The Sharingan was formidable, one careless glance, and he could be caught in a genjutsu. Lowering his gaze, he decided he had to finish this quickly. Kakashi's strikes grew sharper and faster, but Mirai's Sharingan allowed him to track every movement, weaving around each attack with fluid precision. Combined with the Uchiha-style swordsmanship he'd picked up from Fugaku, Kakashi's assaults no longer posed a threat. The match turned into a tense back-and-forth. Kakashi moved like a relentless assassin, each blow swift and deadly, while Mirai danced with effortless grace, slipping through Kakashi's onslaught. Ha, ha! Kakashi panted, chest heaving as his energy waned. He'd exhausted himself with the unrelenting barrage, yet Mirai remained calm and collected. Realizing he couldn't keep this up, Kakashi jumped back. But Mirai was already forming seals at high speed. Fire style, great fireball jutsu. A massive, scorching fireball roared toward Kakashi, who clapped his hands to the ground. Earth release, earth-style wall. A stone barrier erupted in front of him, barely absorbing the fireball's impact. The wall cracked and splintered, but held just enough to block the flames. As the fire dissipated, Kakashi rose, only to find Mirai's sword pressed to his neck. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 5 comment. Vote. Chapter 11. Kakashi, lost. No way, did Mirai actually beat Kakashi? It's over, just like that. The crowd watched, stunned, as Uchiha Mirai held his long sword at Kakashi's neck. Shock filled everyone's faces. Kakashi, the one they'd put so much faith in, had lost? Just as they thought the match was settled, the unexpected happened. Kakashi's body suddenly turned into a burst of lightning, exploding against Mirai's form. The ground cracked open, and Kakashi emerged from below, his short blade poised at Mirai's throat. You did well, Kakashi said in a low voice, but this is the end. He hadn't expected such a challenging fight. If not for using his lightning release, shadow clone technique as bait to paralyze Mirai, he might have been the one defeated. But Mirai's expression barely changed, a faint smile played at his lips. Kakashi's instincts flared, warning him, but before he could react, the Mirai before him vanished in a puff of smoke. Earth release, double suicide decapitation technique. With a murmur, Mirai grabbed Kakashi's legs from below, pulling him into the earth, leaving only his head exposed. Mirai crouched in front of him, sheathing his blade. You did well, but this is the end. Kakashi's face turned crimson beneath his mask. He had lost. Worse, he hadn't made any obvious mistakes, yet he'd still been outmaneuvered. Mirai had anticipated his clone trick all along. This level of battle intelligence, terrifying. The match is over. Mirai looked toward the instructor, who finally snapped out of his daze, announcing in a trembling voice. The winner, Uchiha Mirai. The crowd erupted. It's unbelievable. Kakashi lost. Mirai's strength, has it reached this level already? That fight was incredible. This is what a ninja battle is supposed to be like. Compared to them, our fights are like children playing pretend. Looks like the title of Konoha's top genius has a new owner. For the students who had yet to graduate from the academy, the battle between Mirai and Kakashi had shattered their expectations of what ninja combat could be. Hand-to-hand combat, jutsu feints a clone as bait, a shadow clone counterattack, layers upon layers of strategy. Truly thrilling. Damn it. Has he already grown this strong? Asuma, who had been feeling proud of mastering fire style, ash pile burning, now felt an overwhelming sense of frustration. Mirai's display left him feeling miles behind. Obito clenched his teeth, too. Mirai today was the person he wished he could be. Watching Rin, her cheeks flushed with excitement, Obito couldn't help but daydream if he had Mirai's power, maybe Rin would want to be his girlfriend. So this is what it means to be a genius? Guess I still have a long way to go. Starting today, I'm running laps around the village upside down. Now that's youth. Guy's eyes shone with determination. Unlike the others, he was awed by the level of taijutsu Kakashi and Mirai had displayed. Taijutsu was all he had, all he excelled at, and if he couldn't make his mark in his one strength, he felt he had nothing. From now on, he'd push himself even harder. That kid really surprised me. Hiruzen took a thoughtful puff from his pipe as he watched Kakashi's defeat. Mirai's talent had clearly impressed him. Keeping Mirai out of the Konoha police force had been the right decision, better to have this level of genius where he could keep an eye on him. Lord Third, Kakashi just got careless. Otherwise, with his skill, there's no way he would have lost to Mirai, Fugaku Uchiha insisted, feeling the need to defend Kakashi. He understood Hiruzen's motives in having Kakashi participate in the exam, and now that Kakashi had lost, he feared the third Hokage might hold it against the Uchiha clan. Fugaku, a loss is a loss. There's no need to make excuses for him, Hiruzen replied with a light chuckle. It's a good thing for Konoha to have a genius like this around. Hiruzen had seen countless prodigies Uchiha Kagami, Sakumo Hatake, Orochimaru, Tsunade, all exceptional talents. Unless someone reached the legendary heights of Hashirama Senju or Madara Uchiha, Hiruzen felt confident he could keep them in check. Well, today's exams are over. Let's head back, he said, turning to leave the stage. Fugaku, Minato, and others followed him closely, though Orochimaru lingered, his gaze on Mirai filled with intrigue. Sensing Orochimaru's stare, Mirai looked back from afar. Impressive senses. Orochimaru murmured with a grin, his tongue flicking across his face. Such a fine body. Once my living corpse reincarnation is perfected, he'll make an excellent first vessel. Mirai quietly withdrew his gaze as Orochimaru turned to leave. Although dangerous, Orochimaru was likely only experimenting on orphans and death row prisoners at this stage. Until living corpse reincarnation was completed, Mirai didn't see him as an immediate threat. Given time, he was confident Orochimaru would be no match for him. The crowd dispersed, and Kuran bounded over to Mirai. Mirai, that was amazing. You even beat Kakashi. Mirai pinched her slightly chubby cheek. Why are you more excited than me? People might think you were the one who defeated Kakashi. Kuran giggled. It's the same thing. Tomorrow, we're getting assigned to our teams. Don't be late. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 8 comment. Vote. Chapter 12. Hokage Residence. After assigning the teams and their jonin leaders, Hiruzen dismissed Minato, Shinko-Ui, and the others. Once the room was empty, he sat quietly, contemplating with his pipe in hand. To be honest, Uchiha Mirai's performance today had taken him by surprise. While most assumed Mirai had narrowly won, Hiruzen knew better Kakashi had been thoroughly outmatched, whether in Kenjutsu or Ninjutsu. In other words, Uchiha Mirai's skills had already surpassed Kakashi's in every way. This impressive display brought back memories of an old teammate Uchiha Kagami. A prodigy who had emerged seemingly out of nowhere, Kagami had earned the trust of their sensei, becoming part of his personal guard. Back then, Kagami's presence had helped pacify the growing discontent among the Uchiha, keeping the clan aligned with the Hokage's faction for a long time. Maybe, it was time for him to consider nurturing Mirai in a similar role, to one day serve in the Hokage's Anbu. Of course, that would depend on whether Mirai could pass the tests Hiruzen had in mind. Just then, the office door swung open without warning. Denzo Shimura strode in, oblivious to the tension in the room. Hiruzen. I request that Uchiha Mirai be assigned to route. Hiruzen frowned, annoyed by Denzo's blunt entrance. Denzo, how many times must I remind you knock before you enter? Denzo smirked, dismissing the rebuke. Humph. If you didn't spend so much time spying on the women's bathhouse with that crystal ball of yours, you wouldn't need such rules. Hiruzen's face turned stone cold. Slander. Utter slander, he muttered, his patience thinning. Of this year's new genin, I only want Uchiha Mirai, Denzo reiterated, his tone unwavering. No, Hiruzen replied firmly. I have other plans for Mirai. Denzo's eyes narrowed. You've seen his abilities. Even Kakashi couldn't beat him. Such a dangerous individual belongs en route, where he can be properly managed. Or would you prefer another Uchiha Madara lurking in the shadows? Your hatred of the Uchiha clouds your judgment, Denzo, Hiruzen said calmly. Born wicked, the Uchiha are naturally drawn to darkness, Denzo sneered, quoting words from their old teacher. Hiruzen sighed. Times have changed, Denzo. The world of shinobi is more unstable than ever. If we target the Uchiha too directly, we risk internal strife. And if the other villages attack while we're divided, Konoha could fall apart. With the Senju clan diminished, Tsunade gone, Jiraiya traveling, and Sakumo Hatake dead by suicide, Konoha no longer had the overwhelming strength it once wielded to keep other villages in check. In times like these, adopting a conciliatory approach toward the Uchiha is our best option. That was Sensei's way, too. Denzo's expression remained unmoved. The village is in this state because of your incompetence, he replied icily. Hiruzen, you should step down as Hokage. Enough. Hiruzen's patience finally snapped. Denzo, my decisions are final. Your role is to follow my orders. Denzo scoffed, you'll regret this, Hiruzen. Remember, I am the Hokage. Hiruzen's voice rang out. The door slammed shut behind Denzo as he exited, leaving Hiruzen massaging his temples in frustration. He understood Denzo's concerns but believed that even a genius like Mirai would need years to develop into a true threat. Besides, with the village's power centralized under his command, he was confident he could control any situation that arose. If Mirai ever showed signs of going rogue, he could deal with it then. The next day, Ninja Academy. In the classroom, newly graduated genins sat eagerly, their faces alight with excitement. Today, they would find out who their teammates would be, the ones with whom they'd face countless missions and battles. Everyone was buzzing with curiosity about who they'd be paired with. Obito, who do you hope to team up with? Rin asked, smiling at him. With you, obviously. Obito wanted to say, but instead, he stammered out, anyone's fine, as long as it's not Mirai or Kakashi. Hey? But Mirai and Kakashi are both great ninjas. I'd feel a lot safer if they were my teammates, Rin said innocently. Obito grumbled to himself, casting a sour look toward Mirai and Kakashi. In the back of the room, Kuran nudged Mirai. Mirai, any guesses who your teammates will be? Mirai pondered theatrically, I'm guessing it'll be you. Kuran's eyes widened. How did you know? Let's just say I have a hunch. I also heard your dad is one of the Jonin instructors this year. So, you thought I'd beg him to put us on the same team? Kuran's cheeks flushed as she stammered, I didn't do that. I just, might have overheard him mentioning the team lineup. Mirai chuckled, enjoying her flustered reaction. I see. I didn't do anything like, making meals or doing chores just to sway his decision, she added hastily. So if we're on the same team, don't get any weird ideas. Mirai smirked. Classic Sundara. Just then, several Jonin, including Shinku Ui and Minato Namikaze, entered the room. The lead instructor, addressed the class, silencing their chatter. Konoha has assigned outstanding Jonin to guide you all. When I call your names, follow your assigned Jonin. The room fell silent with anticipation. Uchiha Mirai, Kuran Ui, Asuma Sarutobi. Obito Uchiha, Kakashi Hatake, Rin Nohara. Genma Shiranui, Ebisu, Might Guy. And so the teams were announced, each name stirring a wave of excitement among the young genin, as they set off on the next stage of their journey. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 5 comment. Vote. Chapter 13. In Konoha Village. On the open ground above Hokage Rock, 4 shinobi sit cross-legged in a circle, Shinku Ui, Mirai Uchiha, Asuma Sarutobi, and Kuran Ui. A gentle breeze drifts over them as Shinku begins to speak. I'm Shinku Ui, your team's leader, he says with a calm smile. A skilled Jonin, specialized in genjutsu. I look forward to working with all of you. He gestures for the others to introduce themselves. Asuma clears his throat, sitting up straight. My name is Asuma Sarutobi. My specialties are fire and wind release. I like sausages and cold yam noodles. I also have a thing for shogi, he adds with a grin. What I dislike is being called the Hokage's son. My goal is to make a name for myself, one that stands on its own. And, maybe to spend time with someone special every day. Asuma finishes his introduction with a serious expression, trying to make a good impression on Shinku. Nicely said. Shinku claps with a smile. Asuma, you're young, so try not to smoke too much, it's not good for your health. Asuma nods hastily, embarrassed. Great, he thinks, these Jonin really don't miss a thing. Even after a shower, they still noticed. He can only hope it doesn't ruin his image. Next, Kuran speaks up. I'm Kuran Ui, and I'm skilled in genjutsu. I like training with a certain annoying person, and I also like the meals he cooks. She pauses, glancing away. What I dislike is being pestered. My goal is to become a ninja as remarkable as my father. Shinku raises an eyebrow, noting Asuma's slightly defeated look out of the corner of his eye. Then Mirai introduces himself. Mirai Uchiha. I have a lot of things I like, and a lot of things I dislike. I'm skilled in Kenjutsu and Genjutsu, and my goal is to protect everything I hold dear. Short and to the point, Shinku thinks, suppressing a smirk. Typical Uchiha. An Uchiha who gave a lengthy self-introduction would indeed be a rare sight. I've already assessed your basic skills during your graduation exam, Shinku says, looking at them all. For now, Mirai will serve as the team leader. When I'm not around, you'll follow his orders. Asuma doesn't look too thrilled, but he nods reluctantly. Alright then, to celebrate the formation of team, I'm treating everyone to barbecue. Shinku exclaims, standing up and gesturing for them to follow. Mirai, Kuran, and Asuma trail behind him, heading toward the village. Kuran catches up to Mirai, nudging him with her elbow. Hey, don't take what I said too seriously, she murmurs. It was just to get Asuma off my case. Yeah, got it, Mirai says, waving her off. Classic Sundara, he thinks. Kuran pouts at his nonchalance and playfully swats his arm. Watching the two banter ahead, Asuma feels his heart sink. Seriously, why did my team have to include Mirai? Later. Target spotted, 50 meters ahead. Mirai whispers. Roger, number 2 in position, Kuran responds. Number 3 in position, says Asuma. Go. With the command, 3 shadows dart out from their hiding spots. A stray orange cat sunbathing in the sun lets out a shrill yowl as they descend on it. No need to be scared, we won't hurt you, Kuran soothes, cradling the cat and stroking its fur to calm it down. Mirai and Asuma stand by, unfazed by the routine task. Shinku approaches, smiling. Well done. You're getting better at working as a team. Once we hand in this mission, the barbecue's on me again. Father, can't we start taking on tougher missions? Kuran asks with a hint of frustration. It's been a month since they graduated, and they've completed dozens of D-rank missions, mostly chasing pets, cleaning, or babysitting, far from the thrilling missions she'd imagined. Yet, Shinku-sensei, with our skill level, these tasks feel like a waste of time, Asuma adds quickly. Shinku looks to Mirai. Mirai, what do you think? Every mission deserves focus, Mirai replies coolly. Chasing after high-difficulty missions for the sake of it isn't wise. What matters is gaining experience with each one. Mirai has no complaints about the lower stakes tasks. With his special system, he's growing stronger every day, so these simpler missions give him a safe way to hone his abilities during this early phase. Seeing Mirai's composed answer, Shinku nods approvingly. You're absolutely right. With that mindset, I have no doubt you'll be an outstanding shinobi someday. Shinku had expected Mirai, being an Uchiha, to lose patience with these repetitive tasks. But the young man's level-headedness was reassuring. Maybe Kurane's interest in Mirai isn't just about his looks, Shinku muses. Asuma clenches his fist. Damn it. Outshone again. How does he always have such good answers? Working alongside Mirai, Asuma finds himself constantly feeling overshadowed. When will this ever end? Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. For comment. Vote. Chapter 14. Sigh. There's just no helping it. Seeing the disheartened looks on Kurane and Asuma's faces, Shinku sighed with resignation. Today, let's check out the mission hall and see if there's a suitable C-rank mission for us. What? Really? Hearing Shinku's words, Asuma and Kurane immediately perked up, excitement lighting up their faces. Were they finally moving on to C-rank missions? Fantastic. Unlike D-rank missions, C-rank tasks not only offered better pay but also presented significantly greater risks. Guarding, hunting down wild beasts, escorting classified documents, these were missions where life and death battles could happen at any time. Alright, let's go. Glancing at Mirai, whose expression remained calm and steady, Shinku felt a flicker of pride. Initially, he had worried that Mirai's lineage might make things difficult. But so far, Mirai had proven to be the most dependable member of his team. Shinku couldn't help feeling pleased to have such an outstanding student. With Shinku leading the way, the group arrived at the mission hall. Inside, it was packed with shinobi of all ranks. Recently, the ninja world had grown increasingly restless, and as the strongest village, Konoha's workload had surged. Hello, could you check if there are any C-rank missions suitable for my squad? Shinku approached the mission desk and asked directly. The receptionist's face brightened upon seeing Shinku. Ah, Shinku. Just a moment, please. It wasn't long before the staff member pulled out a mission slip from the hefty mission log. There's a request from a small village in the northern part of the Land of Fire. They report that a band of bandits has been causing trouble in the area. Please take a look at the mission details. Shinku took the mission slip, scanned it briefly, and nodded in agreement. This will work. Thank you. You are too kind. As the two conversed, Obito suddenly stormed over. Hey, didn't you just say there weren't any missions for us? Why didn't you assign us that bandit extermination mission? Annoyed by Obito's outburst, the receptionist waved him off dismissively. All missions are assigned based on careful evaluations. If you don't like it, don't take it. What? You jerk. Seeing Obito's frustration, Mirai sighed softly. The rule of the strong over the weak applied everywhere. The more powerful a shinobi was, the better resources they could access. In the shinobi world, having special abilities wasn't everything, legacy mattered too. Obito, maybe your team just isn't ready for this level of mission. If you become skilled enough, you'll get your shot eventually. Asuma's words had a bit of an arrogant edge as he addressed Obito. Humph. You're only saying that because you're the Hokage's kid. Stop acting so high and mighty. Obito didn't hold back, going straight for Asuma's sore spot. What? You loser, you wanna fight? Bring it on. You think I'm afraid of you? Ugh. Idiot. Just as the two were about to go at it, Minato and Rin rushed over to intervene. Shinku, I'm really sorry about this. Obito's a bit impulsive, but I'll work on it, Minato apologized with a good-natured smile. Meanwhile, Rin yanked on Obito's ear. Obito. Stop causing trouble. Ow. Okay, Rin, I get it. Just ease up a little, please. With Rin around, Obito didn't dare put up much of a fight. Baka, muttered Kakashi, shaking his head. He honestly couldn't understand why someone as skilled as Minato-sensei would choose a hopeless underdog like Obito as his student. Kakashi. Obito, barely calmed down, flared up again. It's because of your too cool to care attitude that we keep getting stuck with such missions. Excuse me, were you interested in a bandit extermination mission? A man wearing a green jumpsuit and sporting a thick beard approached them. Mirai's mind stirred at the sight. That outfit, could this be? Might do? Yeah, what about it? Obito responded, looking at Du. Ah, well, you're in luck. I happen to have a mission that might suit you better. How about we make a trade? For real? Obito's eyes sparkled with excitement. Of course, Du said, his face serious. Take my advice, this mission is way beyond your depth. Only a veteran like me, with years of experience, could pull it off. Obito looked to Minato for confirmation, who gave him a slight nod. A mission to take down bandits was perfect for newly promoted genin to gain experience in real combat, with only moderate risk involved. There was no reason to refuse. Seeing Minato's approval, Obito eagerly swapped mission slips with Du. Thanks, old man. I think I've found a real friend in you. Obito grinned, clearly thrilled. Finally, they were free from those pesky D-rank missions. Now they could really show what they were made of. After Obito and his team departed, Du walked over to Mirai. So, you're Uchiha Mirai, right? My son Guy talks about you often. He's made it his life's goal to catch up to you one day. Du chuckled warmly, as if they were already old friends. Honestly, I think Kakashi's a more fitting rival for Guy, Mirai replied coolly. Being the target of Guy's ambitions wasn't exactly something to celebrate. Kakashi was much more suited to the role. Ha, you're saying if Guy can't surpass Kakashi, he doesn't even have the right to challenge you. Impressive. Just thinking about it gets my blood pumping. That's the spirit of youth. Alright, I'll pass along your words to Guy. Farewell for now. Du strode off with his mission slip in hand, leaving Mirai shaking his head. Did he really say all that? Is that the legendary Eternal Genin? He does seem a bit odd, Asuma muttered, barely concealing his amusement. Asuma, Shinko said sternly, never underestimate anyone. Despite Du's unassuming appearance, Shinko sensed something formidable about him. This man was definitely more than he seemed. I was just being honest, Asuma replied with a shrug. How impressive could he be, staying a genin at his age? What do you think, Mirai? Asuma's question prompted Shinko to turn to Mirai. As a transmigrator, Mirai knew all too well what Do was capable of. This was the man who'd nearly wiped out the 7 swordsmen of the mist by himself. Without hesitation, Mirai replied, ignorance isn't what kills shinobi. Arrogance is. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. These translations are only possible because of your support. Every membership keeps the stories flowing and helps me bring fanfics to life for everyone to enjoy. Thank you for making this possible. Comment. 6 comment. Vote. Chapter 15. Arrogance not ignorance is what stands in the way of a ninja's survival. Repeating Mirai's words, Shinko couldn't help but be impressed. As a seasoned ninja who had danced with death countless times, he knew the wisdom in what Mirai said. Over the years, he had witnessed many ninja fall due to their arrogance regardless of their strength or lack thereof. Only the cautious survive in this line of work, they're always mindful, never underestimating even the weakest of opponents. No wonder you don't have the common flaws of most Uchiha. You've already reached such clarity at this age, Shinko mused, growing more and more impressed by Mirai. This young man seemed like the perfect mold of a ninja, gifted, powerful, level-headed. There wasn't a single fault he could find. Mirai's insights were often a source of inspiration even to him. For a fleeting moment, Shinko wondered if the future of the Uchiha clan or even the entire Leaf Village might transform under Mirai's leadership. Asuma, Kuran, you both could learn a lot from Mirai. Strive to become ninjas just as skilled, alright, he encouraged. Yes. Kuran eagerly nodded, her head bobbing like a little bird pecking at grain. If even Shinko was impressed by Mirai, her admiration was practically boundless. Asuma, meanwhile, felt a mix of irritation and frustration bubbling up inside. Having someone constantly flaunting their abilities in front of him was almost unbearable. Damn it. When would he get a chance to show up Uchiha Mirai for a change? In the dense forests of the Land of Fire, 4 figures darted swiftly between the trees. Excitement lit up Kuran and Asuma's faces as they took in the passing scenery. This was their first time leaving the village as full-fledged ninjas, and even though the trees here looked much the same as those back home, everything felt new and thrilling. Mirai, on the other hand, remained composed, steadily adjusting his breathing to keep himself at peak performance. Just before sunset, Shinko signaled a stop. We'll camp here for the night. Take a rest. Asuma immediately plopped down, legs shaking from the long journey. If it weren't for Mirai constantly setting the bar, he would have given up ages ago. Kuran seemed equally exhausted. But Mirai, unfazed, quickly began setting up traps around the campsite with practiced ease. His enhanced physical abilities set him well above Asuma and Kuran. Once Mirai finished, Shinko couldn't help but feel a twinge of embarrassment. Back on his first mission, he hadn't been nearly this capable. Well done on the traps, Mirai, Shinko acknowledged as Mirai returned. Father, you probably don't know this, but Mirai's always setting traps at home, too. Kuran chimed in, clearly proud. Shinko gave her a faint smile, feeling slightly wistful was his daughter slipping further from him, captivated by the talents of another. Trying to brush it off, he pulled out a ration pill and swallowed it, his face contorting slightly at the familiar bitter taste. No matter how many missions he'd been on, these pills never got any tastier. Father, when this mission's over, you've got to try Mirai's cooking. It's incredible. You won't believe your taste buds, Kuran suggested, amused by his reaction. Alright, alright. Shinko patted her head affectionately. Ever since Mirai came along, she never seemed to stop talking about him. He decided to shift the topic. Mirai, we'll take turns keeping watch tonight. That okay? Of course, Mirai replied. I'll take the first shift. Hugging his sword close, he found a spot in the branches above to sit. I'll stand guard too. Asuma volunteered, unwilling to be outdone by Mirai. Asuma, Shinko interjected, you're already near your limit. If you don't rest, you'll struggle to keep up tomorrow, especially if anything unexpected happens. He knew Asuma wanted to prove himself, but challenging Mirai would only wear him down needlessly. In situations like this, lacking stamina could be disastrous. Sensei Shinku, if Mirai can handle it, so can I. Asuma insisted. Shinku frowned, ready to scold him when Mirai's cold voice interrupted. If you want to surpass others, you need to first acknowledge your own weakness. Asuma's fists clenched. What's that supposed to mean? This is a mission, not a game, Mirai retorted. Your pride is going to make you a burden to the team. Do you want to put us all at risk? Asuma's face flushed as he struggled to respond, unable to refute Mirai's words. If you keep treating missions like a game, consider leaving the team when this one's over, Mirai said coolly, his authority as team leader unmistakable. Defying orders on a mission was serious business, and Asuma knew better than to argue further. All right. I'm sorry, he muttered, finally lowering his gaze. Take a rest, Mirai instructed, shifting his gaze back to the darkening woods as silence settled over the camp once more. From her spot nearby, Kuran stole a glance at Mirai. Her eyes sparkled with admiration how effortlessly he put Asuma in his place. So impressive. Shinku, observing all of this, gave up his own idea of secretly keeping watch. Surprisingly, Mirai seemed dependable enough, even at such a young age. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 6 comment. Vote. Chapter 16. The journey took 3 days. Although Shinku had managed to control the travel pace, Asuma and Kuran still looked pale and exhausted when they arrived at their destination. As they approached the village gate, 2 men wielding pitchforks took up defensive stances. Who are you? We're Konoha Shinobi, here on a mission commissioned by your village, Shinku explained. The men exchanged wary glances before one of them ran into the village. Moments later, a crowd appeared, led by an elderly man with a beard as white as his hair. Are you the Konoha ninja? The elder asked. That's right. Asuma stepped forward, pointing at the forehead protector on his arm. We're here to take care of your bandit problem. At his words, the villagers immediately frowned. The elder eyed the young shinobi skeptically. Are you really capable of handling the bandits? Of course. Asuma lifted his chin confidently. I'm a top-notch ninja, you know. But the elder hesitated, doubt written all over his face. Suddenly, someone from the crowd shouted, we spent all that money just to hire a bunch of kids. Give us our money back. The crowd began to stir, their dissatisfaction rising. Asuma looked flustered, trying to reassure them. Please, trust us. We can handle these bandits. And, Shinku-sensei is a Jainin. At this, the crowd fell silent. A Jainin? Well, that changed things. Just to clarify, Shinku interjected, raising his hands, your fee only covered hiring Chunin level shinobi, so I won't actually be joining the fight. Sensei. Asuma stared, stunned. Really? Did he have to rub it in right now? You all heard that, right? Someone yelled. These Konoha ninja are just messing with us. If they can't get rid of the bandits, they'll come back to retaliate. Get out. We don't need people like them here. Voices rose in anger, and the villagers' faces grew tense and agitated. Just as things were about to spiral out of control, a figure suddenly stepped forward and grabbed one of the men by the neck. What are you doing? As everyone stared, Uchiha Mirai's eyes turned crimson, activating his Sharingan. An oppressive, violent aura radiated from him, causing the villagers to back away in fear. I'm a spy for the bandits, the man muttered in a dull voice under Mirai's genjutsu. I'm here to stir up hostility toward outsiders and report everything back to the bandits. The villagers gasped, the truth dawning on them. So he's the one who's been stirring everyone up. Name your accomplices, Mirai commanded coldly. There are 2 of us in the village, the man replied numbly. Besides me, the other one is. Before he could finish, Mirai whipped a kunao into the crowd, piercing the heart of a middle-aged man who was trying to slip away. The man staggered and collapsed, his body jerking briefly before falling still. Ding! A notification echoed in Mirai's mind. Congratulations, host. You have successfully plundered, plus 0.5 physique. Hearing the system's prompt, Mirai's mind buzzed with realization. He'd already triggered his daily battle reward, so why another? Could it be? Killing triggers the plundering system too? As the thought settled, Mirai tightened his grip. Crack. Ding. Another system prompt. Congratulations, host. You have successfully plundered, plus 0.5 physique. Mirai felt a surge of excitement. It was confirmed the system rewarded him not just for battles but for killing as well. And, intriguingly, there didn't seem to be a limit on how often he could trigger this by killing. No, he had to verify this further. Mirai. Kuran's voice brought him back to reality. Turning to face the group, Mirai released the body onto the ground. The bandits' spies have been dealt with. Tonight, we'll eliminate the rest of the bandits. From now on, no one leaves the village. Seeing him dispatch 2 men so easily, the villagers didn't dare argue. At the elder's urging, they quietly dispersed. Thank you, honored shinobi. The elder, Fujio Komura, stepped forward, bowing. Please, don't take the earlier rudeness to heart. Mirai waved him off. No problem. Just get us some food and a place to rest for now. Of course. Right this way. After everything was arranged, Fujio departed, leaving the group in peace. Kuran shot a glare at Shinku. Father, that was a terrible move. Saying you wouldn't help at a time like that? If Mirai hadn't acted quickly, we'd have been thrown out and humiliated. Asuma nodded, still baffled by Shinku's actions. Yet, why did you have to say something like that right then? With a chuckle, Shinku gestured to Mirai. Mirai, care to explain? Mirai calmly spoke. Under normal circumstances, we'd be speaking with the village leader alone. But someone in the crowd was stirring up hostility. It was out of place. Shinku-sensei's words were a test to confirm his suspicions. Kurane's face lit up with understanding. So that's why you found the bandits' spy. There was more to it than met the eye. See? You've still got a lot to learn, Shinko laughed heartily. As the pieces came together, Asuma felt a pang of frustration. He hadn't even noticed the clues. How is this guy, Mirai, so good at everything? After a meal, Mirai sat in silence, meditating. His first kill had gone smoothly, but deep down, he still felt a faint nausea and unease. He needed to clear his mind in preparation for the bloodshed that awaited them tonight. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 7 comment. Vote. Chapter 17. Late at night. Mirai's eyes snapped open. He stepped outside to find Kurane and Asuma already waiting for him. Up early, I see, Mirai greeted them. Kurane rubbed her hands together. A bit nervous, that's all. Asuma lifted his head, letting out a quiet snort. Before long, Shinku also emerged from his room, joining them. They exchanged a quick glance before disappearing into the night. Several miles from the village, they arrived at a steep mountain path. At the top, they found a bandit camp, a rough collection of huts illuminated by scattered torchlight. Occasional shouts and laughter filled the air. The group paused at the camp's edge, and Shinku spoke in a serious tone. This isn't like a C or D rank mission. One wrong move, and it could mean death. I won't be stepping in, so keep yourselves safe, he continued. But remember one thing, show no mercy. Kurane and Asuma nodded solemnly, glancing at Shinku's intense expression. Mission start. At the command, Mirai and the others disappeared into the shadows, each moving in a different direction around the camp, just as they had practiced. Thanks to his Sharingan, Mirai could see his surroundings with clarity, even in the dead of night. He scanned the area, counting the bandits scattered around the camp. 1, 2, 3. After marking the enemy's locations, Mirai walked forward boldly. A sentry noticed him and was about to shout, but a moment later, his eyes glazed over, succumbing to Mirai's genjutsu. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining reward, plus 0.5 to physique. No limits on rewards, hey. A smirk crept onto Mirai's face. Death is like the wind, always by my side. The slaughter had begun. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining reward, plus 0.5 to physique. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining reward, plus 0.5 to mental strength. The system's notifications continued, and Mirai's stats steadily increased. Unconcerned with hiding his presence, Mirai allowed the camp to fall into chaos. The remaining bandits, recovering from their initial panic, began swarming toward him. That's the one. Get him. Seeing the bandits rushing at him en masse, Mirai let out a low laugh. Oh? You all want to dance? With swift, precise movements, Mirai dove into their midst, cutting down foes with effortless grace. Each strike claimed a life, yet none could touch even the edge of his cloak. Within moments, he'd left a trail of carnage, and the surviving bandits began to break ranks. Damn it! He's a monster. We're all going to die. Run for it. He's from the leaf. Those two idiots never warned us. Move. Get out of my way. Under Mirai's assault, the bandits scattered. Not so fast. To Mirai, these were precious sources of strength. He had no intention of letting a single one escape. Fire release, Great Fireball Technique. Fire release, Phoenix Sage Fire Technique. With swift hand seals, Mirai unleashed waves of flame, mowing down the fleeing bandits. Before long, the screams faded, and the bandits lay slaughtered. Well, that was unexpected. From a distance, Shinro watched the scene, shaking his head. He had thought Mirai would take them down one by one in a sneak attack, but instead, the Uchiha had chosen an all-out assault. As expected of an Uchiha always so unpredictable. In the heart of the camp, Mirai spotted Kurane and Asuma. Both looked worn, covered in grime and bruises. Judging by their expressions, they'd had a rough time. It was obvious that if Mirai hadn't drawn most of the bandits to himself, they might have been in even worse shape. What's this? Mirai frowned, noticing a group of elderly men, women, and children huddling at Kurane and Asuma's feet. They've surrendered, Kurane explained. They're no threat to us, right? Mirai's gaze hardened. Didn't you hear what Shinro-sensei said? Mercy towards enemies will get you killed. Hey, are you saying we should kill them? Asuma shouted, glaring at Mirai. The huddled villagers began to cry, their sobs filling the silence. Both of you, come here, Mirai ordered, his voice icy. An ominous aura radiated from him, sending a chill down Kurane and Asuma's spines. After killing so many, Mirai's presence was overwhelming. Kurane lowered her head, murmuring, I'll listen to you. Asuma clenched his fists, but he didn't dare defy Mirai's command. Just as they started to step away, the villagers lunged, flinging dirt in their eyes. You heartless brat! Two elderly women who had been crouching among the others sprang up with fierce expressions, lunging at Kurane and Asuma. Damn it, they're shinobi! Kurane and Asuma's faces turned pale as they realized the attackers were disguised as villagers. At such close range, with no time to react, they braced for the worst. Schlick. Schlick. Two sharp sounds cut through the air as Mirai's blade found its mark, slicing through the throats of the disguised shinobi. Thud. With a final slump, the enemy shinobi fell, and Mirai's system echoed in his mind once more. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining reward, Chakra +1. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining reward, win style, great breakthrough. Ignoring the notifications for now, Mirai looked down at Kuran and Asuma. You two finish off the rest. While he could gain points by finishing them himself, he knew it was more important for Kuran and Asuma to come to terms with the life of a ninja. A few attribute points were a small price to pay for stronger teammates. After all, for a long time to come, they would be his comrades. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. These translations are only possible because of your support. Every donation keeps the stories flowing and helps me bring fanfics to life for everyone to enjoy. Thank you for making this possible. Comment. 8 comment. Vote. Chapter 18. Under Mirai's watchful gaze, Kurane and Asuma picked up their kunao and finished off the remaining bandits. Once the task was done, Kurane carefully approached Mirai. Mirai, I won't do that again. Please don't be mad, okay? Mirai gently patted her on the head. I'm not mad. As long as you've learned from today, that's what matters. He wasn't particularly upset with Kurane or Asuma. They were both only teenagers, facing something like this for the first time. It was natural to hesitate. Learning the lesson was enough. Thanks a lot, Mirai, Asuma said, still shaken. From now on, I'll listen to you. Mirai raised an eyebrow. What did you say? I said thanks. From now on, I'll listen to you. Say it louder. Didn't you eat? I said, thank you for saving me. I won't go against your orders again. Mirai chuckled and clapped him on the shoulder. I actually prefer the defiant version of you. Try to keep that attitude, alright. Asuma gritted his teeth. Figures I can't get along with this guy. While they were talking, Shinku also arrived, nodding in gratitude as he clapped Mirai's shoulder. If it hadn't been for Mirai's timely intervention, things might have gone south. Give them a bit of discipline for me, will you? Mirai said, casually strolling to a clear spot nearby. He sat down and opened up his system panel. Name. Uchiha Mirai. Physique. 45. Mental strength. 42. Chakra. 29. Kekkei Genkai. Sharingan. Ninjutsu. Wind release, great breakthrough. Other. Compared to before, he had gained 7 points in stamina, 8 in mental strength, and 1 in chakra. 16 points in total, plus a new jutsu, the wind release, great breakthrough. This was practically a bonus from 2 weeks of battle training. Taking a deep breath, Mirai felt the surge of power within him. He suppressed the flicker of bloodlust that rose with it. Sure, he wanted strength, but he wouldn't harm innocent people unless absolutely necessary. Otherwise, he'd just become a mindless machine. He needed the system to grow stronger, but that didn't mean he'd be a slave to it. Originally, Mirai had intended to lay low during the looming Third Shinobi World War, but today had changed his mind. If he could harvest strength by fighting, why not use the chaos of the war to his advantage? Wonder if killing White Zetsu would trigger the system's reward. If it did, that would be perfect. 100,000 White Zetsu, how much could that yield? The best part? They weren't even human. He could wipe them all out without a second thought. For some reason, a line came to mind, something that seemed to fit him perfectly. I bloom amidst slaughter, like a flower at dawn. One day, the entire shinobi world would know his name. Konoha Village. After submitting their mission report, Mirai and his teammates collected the mission's 70,000 ryo reward. Shinku took 40,000, leaving the remaining 30,000 for Mirai and his friends to split. After parting ways, Mirai bought some fresh meat and headed back to the Uchiha compound. Just as he entered, he spotted a boy with a bandaged arm helping an old lady cross the street. The boy wore goggles, but it didn't take long for Mirai to notice the dark bruise around his eye. Well, he called out. Obito, what's with the new look? Obito turned, irritation flashing across his face. Mirai. Don't act so smug. This, Obito declared, is my shinobi badge of honor. On a recent mission to clear out bandits, Obito had charged ahead recklessly and found himself surrounded. If it hadn't been for Minato, he would have been sliced to bits. But to Obito, the injuries felt like proof of his bravery. Unable to train while he recovered, he'd been wandering around the village, making sure everyone knew he was a true shinobi who'd faced danger. Ah, a badge of honor. Very unique. Mirai gave him a thumbs up. Shame I don't have a trophy for you. I'd hand one over. Arg. Mirai. I'll kill you. Obito snapped, fuming as the old lady by his side chuckled gently. Now, Mirai. Don't tease him, she said. Obito's a kind boy. Mirai shrugged. I'm not teasing. I was just saying hi, but he's the one acting like he wants me dead. You. I'm so angry. Obito stomped his foot, trying to contain his frustration. Somehow, Mirai always managed to push him over the edge. A shinobi who can't control his temper isn't going to last long, Obito Mirai taunted, before turning away. Watching Obito, Mirai couldn't help feeling contempt. This was the guy who'd one day betray his own mentor, destroy his own clan. A complete lunatic. If he hadn't gained this system, he'd probably already be looking for an opportunity to take Obito out. Back home, Mirai got to work preparing his meal. He whipped up a feast, sweet and sour cabbage, spicy chicken, twice cooked pork, braised pork belly, and even roasted a whole rack of lamb. After roughing it out on missions, he was more than ready for some real food. As he lounged in bed afterward, thoroughly satisfied, he realized something. The biggest gain from this mission wasn't the stats he'd picked up from the bandits, but the knowledge that he could grow stronger through fighting. The ninja world was tense, like the calm before a storm. Before it all went up in flames, he'd use this time to strengthen himself as much as possible. No more slacking off. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. These translations are only possible because of your support. Every donation keeps the stories flowing and helps me bring fanfics to life for everyone to enjoy. Thank you for making this possible. Comment. 7 comment. Vote. Chapter 19. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, another 2 months had passed. During that period, Mirai hadn't taken a single day off. Mission after mission. He was like a tireless machine. His reputation within the village grew, nearly every shinobi in Konoha had heard of the mission-crazy new genin. A few times, Kuran had tried to discreetly ask Mirai if he was in need of money, even offering to have her father lend him some. But after receiving no clear response, she had to give up, only reminding him to stay careful during missions. The high-intensity workload left Mirai exhausted, but the gains were undeniable. Over those 2 months, aside from his daily rewards from sparring, he'd accumulated 140 attribute points. With his relentless effort, the number of bandits in the Land of Fire had noticeably decreased. Name: Uchiha Mirai. Physique: 105. Mental strength: 92. Chakra: 59. Bloodline limit: Sharingan. Ninjutsu. Other. Looking at his attribute panel, Mirai couldn't help but smile in satisfaction. His physical capabilities had increased several times over. Though he still looked like a young boy, his strength, speed, and stamina had reached a level on par with elite jonin. His mental strength had also advanced to the point where he sensed that his Sharingan was close to evolving again. He guessed it wouldn't be long before he unlocked the 3-Tomo Sharingan. However, his chakra reserves hadn't grown as significantly. Most of the attribute points he'd gained from defeating bandits went toward physical and mental stats, given that most of his opponents were ordinary people without chakra. With my current strength, I could probably crush Kakashi without breaking a sweat, Mirai mused. Although Kakashi was one of the most talented shinobi in the village at this stage, he still had his limits. Talent could only carry someone so far. Even prodigies like Kakashi, Obito, and Nagato hit plateaus. True breakthroughs were rare, except for legends like Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha. But Mirai didn't have to worry about that. As long as he kept accumulating attribute points, his power would continue to grow. That was the beauty of his ability. Unfortunately, there had been fewer bandit missions lately. Higher-level tasks required team missions, and Kuran and Asuma weren't quite ready for those. For now, it seemed like a good time to slow down and adapt to his newfound strength. Otherwise, he risked becoming like Kagaya Otsutsuki, powerful, but unable to wield her strength effectively. Knock, knock, knock. A loud knock on the door pulled Mirai from his thoughts. Kakashi, he said in surprise when he saw the silver-haired boy standing outside, a look of irritation in his eyes. So, he has to beat me to earn the right to challenge you? Kakashi asked bluntly, not hiding his annoyance. Mirai then noticed a young man in green tights standing beside him, shuffling awkwardly. Might Guy. Hat. Mirai, Kakashi insisted we come and see you, Guy said with an embarrassed laugh. Mirai quickly understood the situation. Kakashi must have heard about his conversation with Might Do in the mission hall, leading him to bring Guy along for a rematch. Though Do had misunderstood his intentions, it was too late to explain now. I may have lost last time, but that doesn't mean you're stronger than me, Kakashi said sternly. Today, we'll settle this. Whoever loses has to spar with Guy from now on. As Konoha's former #1 prodigy, Kakashi had his pride. Mirai might have won their last encounter, but Kakashi was convinced it wouldn't happen twice. He hadn't expected Mirai to see through his tactics so easily back then. This time, he was determined not to make the same mistake. All right, Mirai sighed, seeing the fire in Kakashi's eyes. Without another word, he led the two to an empty training ground. Watching them square off, Guy looked as if he might burst with excitement. Two geniuses, facing off in a battle of skill and strength, he shouted, tears in his eyes. This is youth. It's beautiful. Mirai had no doubt that if Might Do were here, he and Guy would be having a tearful moment together. This time, I won't hold back. So be careful, Kakashi warned, drawing his short sword and fixing Mirai with a steely gaze. Mirai simply drew his own blade and motioned for Kakashi to come at him. Damn it. Kakashi grunted. With a swift body flicker, he appeared right in front of Mirai, launching a relentless assault. Too slow, Mirai thought as he watched Kakashi's movements. Compared to last time, Kakashi was indeed faster, but Mirai found it even easier to keep up. Previously, he'd needed to activate his Sharingan to follow Kakashi's attacks, but now, he could track him without it. A few casual counters from Mirai had Kakashi struggling to keep up. Wow! Guy gasped, eyes wide as he watched their rapid taijutsu exchange. To him, this was a spectacle, something far beyond his current level. Was this guy holding back last time? Kakashi's worry grew as they fought. Guy couldn't sense it, but Kakashi was becoming more and more alarmed. Mirai hadn't even activated his Sharingan, yet each of his counters put Kakashi off balance. It was as if their power levels weren't even comparable. Kakashi, it's time to give up, Mirai advised. Not a chance. Kakashi barked, pushing Mirai back with a quick slash and creating some distance. Ox Rabbit Monkey. Electricity crackled around Kakashi's right hand, emitting a high-pitched chirping sound, like thousands of birds singing in unison. Chidori. Kakashi shouted, his body launching forward like a released arrow, charging straight at Mirai. The speed was incredible, leaving Guy slack-jawed in awe. Mirai, watch out! Guy yelled in alarm. Smack! A sharp sound echoed as the action froze mid-motion. Kakashi's lightning-clad hand was caught in Mirai's iron grip. The red of the Sharingan gleamed in Mirai's eyes, spinning slowly. Kakashi, you should be more careful with such a dangerous technique, Mirai cautioned. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. These translations are only possible because of your support. Every membership keeps the stories flowing and helps me bring fanfics to life for everyone to enjoy. Thank you for making this possible. Comment. 5 comment. Vote. Chapter 20. He caught it. Guy's mouth dropped open in shock as he watched the scene in front of him. To his eyes, Kakashi's speed just now was absolutely incredible. The power behind that Chidori seemed like it could cut through anything. He had been sure Mirai was in real danger, but against all odds, he'd stopped it. No, stopping it wasn't even the most surprising part. Mirai was standing there, completely unfazed, his hand gripping Kakashi's wrist, halting the Chidori mid-strike with his bare hand. The confidence radiating from him, combined with the eerie, mesmerizing Sharingan, made him look effortlessly cool. Kakashi stared in disbelief at his right hand, now trapped in Mirai's grasp, his mouth dry. He'd considered the possibility that Mirai might evade the attack, but he never imagined his opponent would block it in such a bold, direct way. To do this, Mirai needed not only strength far beyond his own but also an absolute, unwavering confidence. This guy. Looking into Mirai's calm, self-assured eyes, Kakashi felt a disheartening sense of defeat, a feeling he'd never experienced from a peer before. Mirai, just how strong are you? The fight ends here. Mirai released Kakashi's wrist and looked over at Guy. Hey, Guy, I happen to have some free time recently. Why don't we train together during the day? Mirai's focus shifted entirely to Guy, offering no comment on his fight with Kakashi. His attitude made Kakashi feel as though Mirai didn't even see him as a serious opponent. To him, it seemed their fight had been nothing more than a quick spar to humor Kakashi. Unlike the silent Kakashi, Guy's face was alight with excitement. Mirai, you really mean it? You'll train with me? Mirai gave a slight nod. Yet. With the bandit clearing missions mostly done, he figured a break to refine his strength would be useful. Besides, training with Guy could be his chance to learn the 8 gates, giving him a powerful ace up his sleeve. Mirai, you're amazing, so kind. Guy sniffled, wiping his nose and tearing up. Youth doesn't tolerate idleness. I'll meet you bright and early for training tomorrow. Got it. With that, Mirai turned to leave. If you're done here, you guys can go. I'm heading back to rest. As he walked off, Kakashi called out, one day, I'm going to beat you. Without looking back, Mirai waved his right hand dismissively. I'll give you time to catch up. Until you can't even see my back. Kakashi. Yet. Mirai, is really cool. TCH. Instead of heading home, Mirai made his way to a secluded forested area in the Uchiha clan grounds. Confirming he was alone, he began forming hand seals. Ox Monkey. Chidori. The sound of 1,000 birds chirping filled the air as Mirai activated his Sharingan and dashed forward. A massive tree, so thick it would take several people to wrap their arms around it, was cut clean through at the waist. Boom. The tree crashed to the ground with a thunderous noise. Mirai smiled with satisfaction. As he'd suspected, Chidori and the Sharingan truly complemented each other perfectly. Right after the fight with Kakashi, he'd heard a notification in his mind that he'd successfully copied Chidori. That was why he'd left so abruptly to try it out as soon as possible. Looks like I also mastered both chakra-shape transformation and chakra-nature transformation. Mirai focused inwardly, a look of pleasant surprise crossing his face. Normally, mastering both of these aspects would take a great deal of time and effort. But now, he'd acquired them effortlessly. This unexpected gain was far beyond what he'd anticipated. An idea for a powerful jutsu crossed his mind. Raise Nan. An instant cast jutsu without the need for seals, capable of various powerful forms. In combat, it could catch opponents off guard with its sheer unpredictability. In the original story, Raise Nan was one of the most impactful techniques. A small grin appeared on Mirai's face. As a transmigrator, he already knew the basics of Raise Nan training, and now that he'd mastered both chakra shape and nature transformation, training an A-rank jutsu like Raise Nan wouldn't be as challenging as it might have been. After letting his mind wander a bit, Mirai sat cross-legged on the ground and began to practice his hand seal speed. In ninja combat, speed in forming seals was crucial. The faster the seals, the more control one had in a fight. Uchiha Taki, for example, could make 7 seals in a single second. Mirai was determined not to slack on these fundamental skills. At dawn, Mirai opened his eyes and stepped outside, where he was immediately greeted by the energetic Guy. Mirai, let's train together today. Alright. Great. Let's start by running 10 laps around the village, then we'll meet up with my father. Before Mirai could respond, Guy took off in a flash of green, sprinting forward. After stretching a bit, Mirai followed closely behind. Running 10 laps around the village wasn't an easy task, even for Mirai at his current level. It took him the entire morning to finish. Guy, however, was slower, only managing 5 laps by the time Mirai was done. Whew. Guy leaned on his knees, panting. I'm not surprised you're so amazing, Mirai, a real genius who can even beat Kakashi. You're like someone without a single weakness. I've got to train even harder. With his current stamina, 5 laps was close to Guy's limit. Running 10 was a goal he set for himself to push his boundaries, knowing full well it was nearly impossible. After a short break, Do arrived to join them, his eyes brightening with curiosity when he saw Mirai. Father, Mirai wants to train with us for a while. Is that all right? Guy asked, his gaze filled with admiration. Do nodded. Of course. Guy, this is your chance to train alongside someone you look up to. You must work even harder. Yes. I will. Perfect, this is youth. As father and son embraced each other, crying passionately, Mirai's mouth twitched slightly. He was beginning to have second thoughts. Was training with these two really the best decision? Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. These translations are only possible because of your support. Every membership keeps the stories flowing and helps me bring fanfics to life for everyone to enjoy. Thank you for making this possible. Comment. 7 comment. Vote. Chapter 21. 431, 432, 433. Thud. Might Guy collapsed onto the ground, completely exhausted. The soil beneath him was soaked from his sweat. All right, Guy. Mirai tossed him a bottle of water. Let's call it for today. Mirai, I can't help but envy you, Guy said, looking at her with a mix of admiration and frustration. I'm giving it my all, yet it feels like you're still miles ahead. Guy had a good attitude about it, but training with Mirai over time was beginning to wear on him. What he struggled to achieve, she accomplished with ease. It was the first time he had ever doubted his father's words. Could he really keep up with geniuses like her? Guy, sticking to anything will bring results, Mirai said, trying to console him. You're right. I won't give up, Guy said, scratching the back of his head. Besides training my body non-stop, what else can I do? He sighed, frustrated that he still hadn't mastered even the most basic jutsu. Oh, by the way, Mirai, I think you could push yourself a bit harder too. You'd improve even faster. I know my limits. Mirai shook her head. This training intensity is enough. My goal is to maintain control over my strength, so I stop right at the edge. Pushing further day after day would only cause lasting damage. As he thought about it, he couldn't help but wonder at Guy's resilience. Somehow, he pushed himself to the brink every day and came back just as strong the next. Even when he fainted from exhaustion, he'd be back at it the next day, full of energy. Perhaps, that was a talent in itself. A regular person would have burned out long ago. Hey, Mirai, Guy suddenly perked up. Dad mentioned he wants to teach you something special today, the 8 gates. Wait, what? Mirai was caught off guard. He knew the power of the 8 gates technique, it was a hidden ace. In the world of Shinobi, such precious techniques were typically only passed down to family or students. She'd joined Guy for training to perhaps glimpse it through their sparring, but he'd never expected Might Do to actually teach it to her. Even though Dad's just a genin, the 8 gates are serious business. You have to promise not to underestimate it, Guy said quickly, noticing Mirai's surprised expression. Despite his years of training, his father still hadn't let him learn it. Ha! You two are something else. Mirai couldn't help but smile. Noticing the gloom lingering in Guy's eyes, he gave him a challenging grin. Come on, get up, let's go another round. Hey. 10 minutes later, Guy sat on the ground, bruised and defeated. Nope, still can't beat you. Ding. Congratulations, host, for claiming reward, +1 physique. Ignoring the system notification in his mind, Mirai looked at Guy, a bit surprised. Usually, he'd bounce back after every spar, full of determination to catch up. This time, he seemed genuinely down. Had he finally hit his breaking point? At that moment, Might Do approached them. Seeing his son's state, he frowned. Guy, what's wrong? Youth doesn't allow for such despair. Guy looked up, pouting. Dad, do you think I can really become a great ninja? Compared to Mirai, I'm totally hopeless. Do was momentarily at a loss. He, too, had been blown away by Mirai's talent. Standing next to him, any reassurance felt empty. Seeing the somber mood, Mirai sighed and decided to step in. Guy, do you know why I've been training with you? Why? Because you're a genius too. Guy and his father were both taken aback. Guy almost thought he was joking, but his serious expression said otherwise. Mirai. I appreciate it, but don't try to make me feel better, Guy said, giving a resigned smile. I'm the worst in our class, I can't even manage basic ninjutsu. How am I a genius? No. Mirai stepped forward, looking him squarely in the eye. Who says talent is only about ninjutsu? In my eyes, you're one in a million. Seeing the genuine look in his eyes, both father and son felt a flicker of doubt. Could Guy really be a genius, just, of a different kind? Training with you, I've come to see that talent firsthand, Mirai continued, his voice firm. Nobody else can match your dedication. You're what I'd call, a genius of hard work. In all the ninja I've met, nobody works as hard as you. You have my respect. Mirai's words left both Guy and Du speechless. Hardworking, genius? The angle was so unusual it somehow felt convincing. Du was the first to recover. He clapped a firm hand on Guy's shoulder. Did you hear that, Guy? You have Mirai's respect. Du's voice grew more passionate. He's the top genius of the village, and he sees greatness in you. You're a genius of hard work. Guy looked back at Mirai, dazed. Mirai, do you really think that? Absolutely. Mirai's voice was serious. If you keep this up, someday you'll surprise everyone. Thank you, thank you. Guy's voice cracked. Dad. Guy. Father and son hugged each other tightly, tears streaming down their faces. For so long, Guy had craved validation from someone other than his father. And now, he had it from one of the village's brightest young talents. Now, repay that trust, Du said, his voice full of pride. Grow stronger, Guy. Never let up. I won't. This is my youth. Watching the two cry and cheer together, Mirai stepped aside, giving them space. This was their moment, and he didn't want to intrude. A while later, Du approached him, his eyes filled with gratitude. Mirai, thank you. You've lifted a weight off Guy's shoulders. Without your words, he might have given up. You may have just saved his future. I only spoke the truth, Mirai said softly. He meant every word. After all, Guy would go on to become a legend in his own right, someone capable of shaking the world. If that didn't make him a genius, what would? Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. These translations are only possible because of your support. Every membership keeps the stories flowing and helps me bring fanfics to life for everyone to enjoy. Thank you for making this possible. Comment. 9 comment. Vote. Chapter 22. As Guy energetically ran off on his hands, roaring with excitement, Du turned to look seriously at Mirai. Mirai, you have a lot of potential, so I've decided to teach you the secret technique, the 8 gates. Before Mirai could respond, Du continued. Though I'm just a low-ranking ninja, the 8 gates is an incredibly powerful taijutsu. I'll give you a demonstration right now. Du, worried that Mirai might underestimate the 8 gates because of his rank, decided to show its power firsthand. Watch closely, Mirai. First gate, gate of opening. Open. With a low shout, Mirai could feel Du's chakras surging wildly within him. Du's skin flushed red. Second gate, gate of healing. Open. Third gate, gate of life. Open. Upon opening the third gate, Du's body turned crimson, emitting a green aura. Fourth gate, gate of pain. Open. Fifth gate, gate of limit. Open. Sixth gate, gate of view. Open. When Du opened the sixth gate, veins bulged across his skin, and he looked almost like a boiling shrimp. The fierce aura radiating from him sent a chill through Mirai. It felt as if a wild beast stood before him, one ready to pounce at any moment. As Mirai observed Du's transformation, Du clenched his fists and let out another shout. Seventh gate, gate of wonder. Open. A wave of chakra, several times more intense, exploded from Du, and the green aura around him shifted to blue steam. Mirai involuntarily took a few steps back, finally feeling a bit safer at this distance. Incredible. This is the 8 gates, Mirai murmured, awestruck. Despite his low rank, Du's chakra had risen to a terrifying level. But more astonishing than his chakra was his physical transformation. Mirai activated his Sharingan instinctively, yet he could barely keep up. In an instant, Du appeared right in front of him, moving faster than Mirai could track. Huff, huff. This is the 8 gates, Du said, gasping for breath. Even I could gain 10 times the power of the 5 cage if I opened the 8th gate. But, opening the final gate of death means, well, death. So I can't demonstrate that one for you. As Du's blue steam gradually faded, he sank down onto the ground. Mirai, remember that while the 8 gates can give you immense strength in a short period, it also takes a heavy toll on the body. Be mindful of that. Mirai nodded solemnly at Du's advice. He'd been impressed by the 8 gates' power when he'd read about it in the manga, but seeing it up close filled him with excitement. Such an outrageous technique for boosting one's strength. It was almost unfair. After sharing some personal insights into using the 8 gates, Du began teaching Mirai 0. The training itself wasn't complicated, relying primarily on physical conditioning. And so, by the end of just one afternoon, Mirai was already able to open the 5th gate. Du could only stare in disbelief. Where did this monster come from? Late at night. In the Uchiha compound, Mirai finished his last bite of grilled meat with a satisfied grin. Though he could only open up to the 5th gate, it was already a powerful trump card. What's more, his plunder system could gather attribute points, so opening the remaining gates was only a matter of time. And the best part? Du had willingly taught him the technique, meaning he could use it in battle without drawing suspicion. Time flew by. A month passed, during which Mirai didn't take any missions. He needed time to adjust to his rapidly growing power, and the mountain bandits had quieted down anyway, so there wasn't much work available. Even so, the daily rewards from sparring boosted his strength considerably. His greatest progress was with his eyes. By now, he had evolved his Sharingan to the 3 Tomo. Status. At his soft command, a translucent blue panel appeared before him. Name. Uchiha Mirai. Physique. Mental strength. Chakra. Bloodline limit. Sharingan. Ninjutsu. Other. Seeing the numbers, Mirai smirked. When his mental power reached 100, his Sharingan had seamlessly evolved from 2 Tomo to 3 Tomo. Unlike other Uchiha, he hadn't needed an emotional trigger, the evolution had happened naturally. This realization filled him with hope. If his mental power grew strong enough, maybe his Sharingan could evolve into the Mangekyo without any trauma. The thought of the Mangekyo Sharingan, with its incredible and mysterious powers, sent a thrill through him. After all, what Naruto fan doesn't get excited about the Mangekyo Sharingan? The next morning, Mirai stepped out of the compound like any other day, planning to grab breakfast and head for training. But the loud murmur of people around him made him frown. Did you hear? The third Kazekage of Tsunagakure has gone missing. No way. That's a Kage ninja as strong as the Hokage. How could someone like that just disappear? It's true. The news is spreading everywhere. Even Kumagakure tried to sneak an attack on Tsunagakure, but they got pushed back. Wow, sounds like the shinobi world's about to be in turmoil again. Listening to the chatter as he ate, Mirai began to piece together the situation. The third Kazekage was missing, and it looked like the third shinobi world war was about to begin. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. These translations are only possible because of your support. Every membership keeps the stories flowing and helps me bring fanfics to life for everyone to enjoy. Thank you for making this possible. Comment. 8 comment. Vote. Chapter 23. When Mirai heard that the third Kazekage had gone missing, he felt a thrill of excitement. In the original storyline, it was Sasori who turned the Kazekage into a human puppet and then defected from the village. Tsunagakure was left entirely in the dark about this. After thwarting a surprise attack from Kumagakure, Tsunagakure used the Kazekage's disappearance as an excuse to declare war on Konoha. Thus, the Third Shinobi World War began. In the past, Mirai would have avoided the war at all costs. After all, the battlefield was a place of constant danger. One misstep, and you'd be dead. But now, his perspective was entirely different. With his plunder system, the Third Shinobi World War was just the sort of environment he needed, a place teeming with enemies, ripe for him to grow stronger with each kill. Once his power reached a certain level, he could finally settle things with the Hokage's faction. The Uchiha clan would rise, becoming the new elite of the shinobi world under his hand. Tsunagakure village Kazekage's office. An elderly woman with short silver hair stood with her hands behind her back, gazing out the window, her expression hardening. Sister, are you really going to declare war on Konoha? Asked the old man behind her, his white eyebrows drooping with worry. I've held this grudge for far too long, Aihw, Cho replied, her eyes glinting with vengeance. This might be my only chance to avenge my son and daughter-in-law. Konoha isn't nearly as powerful as it once was. If we could even beat Kumagakure, what's there to fear? Aihw's lips tightened. But, White Fang is already dead. Humph. Dead or not, Konoha will still pay, Cho sneered coldly. After her son and daughter-in-law's deaths, Sasori had grown distant, odd. Now, he'd even killed the village guards and escaped, becoming a rogue ninja. All of it, thanks to Konoha. One way or another, she'd make them pay. But... Save it, she cut him off with a dismissive wave. This is what the daimyo wants as well. After repelling Kumagakure, the Wind Daimyo's gaze had shifted to the fertile lands of the Fire Country. Should they defeat Konoha, the rewards for the Land of Wind would be immense. So, with the daimyo's support and a generous advance of funds, Cho felt no need for further hesitation. Seeing that she'd invoked the daimyo's name, Aihw gave up, silently leaving the room. When he was gone, Cho took a deep breath. This time, she would ensure that Konoha suffered the same pain she had. Konoha Village Hokage's office. Following the ANBU, Uchiha Mirai entered the Hokage's office. The moment he stepped inside, he saw several familiar faces: Namikaze Minato, Uchiha Obito, Nohara Rin, Hitaki Kakashi, Yi Shinku, Sarutobi Asuma, and Yi Kurane. Alright, now that everyone's here, Hiruzen said, taking a drag on his pipe, we've had increasing skirmishes at the borders. The Sand Shinobi have been especially active. We need to transport supplies to the front lines and reinforce our troops. Mako, Minato, I'm assigning this task to the two of you. Yes. Minato and Mako replied in unison. Hiruzen handed them mission scrolls, then turned his gaze to Mirai. Mirai, this mission will be dangerous. Given that you are from the Uchiha clan, if you'd rather not go, I can assign you to the police force instead. Mirai let out a cold scoff in his mind. Old man. So, you still don't trust me, do you? Lord Third, I have no intention of retreating. The battlefield doesn't scare me, he replied firmly. What a joke. He was counting on the front lines to quickly build up his power. If he stayed back in the police force, his growth would be stunted. Good. Then I'll leave it to all of you. Hiruzen gave them a warm smile and waved. Prepare yourselves. You set out tomorrow. Yes. Once everyone left, an ANBU member emerged from the shadows. Well? Hiruzen asked. Lord Hokage, based on my sensory readings, Uchiha Mirai's chakra and mental state showed no fluctuations. He meant every word. Good to hear. Hiruzen nodded, satisfied. It seemed his instincts were correct. Uchiha Mirai was a loyal pawn. The next morning, village gate. Aihw. Mirai strolled up to the gate, greeting the others with a lazy wave. Hey, you. Why are you so late? We've all been waiting for you. Obito snapped. Hey. Mirai tilted his head, feigning innocence. Am I late? Obito stammered. Well, no, but, we've all been here a while. It's not even past the meeting time, you know. Still, you. Say one more word, and I'll kill you. Obito instantly felt a shiver down his spine, a suffocating pressure that made his whole body tense. Mirai, let me apologize for Obito, Minato intervened, offering Mirai a calming smile. You actually meant to kill me. Obito muttered, finally catching his breath. Mirai shrugged. Just a joke. Who knew you'd scare so easily? Damn it. Obito clenched his fists, red with embarrassment. To get rattled by Mirai like this, especially in front of Rin, was humiliating. They were both shinobi. How could Mirai's aura be so intense? Kakashi, too, looked impressed. Mirai's presence just now hadn't seemed like that of a fresh academy graduate. Meanwhile, Kuran and Asuma exchanged knowing glances. Asuma, in particular, felt a pang of sympathy. There was a time when he'd been just as outmatched by Mirai. If they weren't heading to the front lines, he would have gladly shared a few survival tips with Obito. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 6 comment. Vote. Chapter 24. A squad of 6 was escorting the convoy toward the border. Once they'd left the 30-mile radius from the village, everyone became extra cautious. Even though they were still within the land of fire, the world of shinobi had become increasingly chaotic. Encounters with hostile shinobi were likely, even on home soil. By dusk, they had only traveled about a fifth of the distance to their destination. It would take at least 5 days to arrive. After setting up camp, Mirai expertly began placing traps around the perimeter, with Asuma and Kuran assisting. Under Mirai's guidance, both had honed their basic shinobi skills considerably. Seeing the group hard at work, Minato couldn't help but smile admiringly. Mirai seems like an incredible shinobi. Despite being part of the same Uchiha clan, Mirai and Obito were worlds apart. Yes. Mirai really does make things easier, Shinku said thoughtfully. The progress Kuran and Asuma have made is largely thanks to Mirai's influence. Without him, teaching a rebellious Asuma and the headstrong Kuran might have been quite the challenge. If possible, I'd like Mirai to spend some time with Kakashi, Minato suggested. Shinku nodded. No problem. Minato smiled warmly in response. Back when he led the Anbu, Kakashi had been his subordinate. But ever since Sakumo Hotaki's death, Kakashi had withdrawn into himself. This was why Minato specifically requested the third Hokage to place Kakashi with teammates like Obito and Rin, hoping they'd help him open up again. Yet the more he observed, the more Minato saw that Mirai might be able to help as well. As the two conversed, Mirai and the others finished setting up the traps and returned to camp. Minato immediately approached him. Allow me to introduce myself. Minato Namikaze, Jonin of Konohagakure. Mirai looked at Minato, a flicker of realization crossing his face. Uchiha Mirai. He had been contemplating how to approach Minato himself, but he hadn't expected the renowned shinobi to introduce himself first. Mirai, I heard you defeated Kakashi and even deflected his Chidori single-handedly, Minato remarked in his calm, refreshing tone. Quite impressive. When I was your age, I was nowhere near your level. Chidori is powerful, Mirai replied quietly. Kakashi's speed was just a bit lacking, which allowed me to counter it. Would you like to learn Chidori? Minato asked suddenly. I could teach you. Since Minato had provided Kakashi with guidance in creating Chidori, he saw no issue in sharing it with Mirai. Mirai raised an eyebrow. What's the catch? Not much, Minato replied with a slight smile. Just that you help Kakashi open up when you get the chance. You know how he's been, and it isn't helping his growth. Mirai's expression remained unmoved. Chidori? I'll pass. Hey. Minato was taken aback. Chidori was an A-rank jutsu, highly coveted among shinobi. Even in powerful clans, such techniques were few and far between. Mirai, Chidori has great destructive power, especially when combined with your Sharingan, Minato began explaining, thinking perhaps Mirai didn't understand its value. But before he could finish, Mirai interrupted him. It's not that I think Chidori is weak. I just don't need it. With that, Mirai formed a series of hand seals. In an instant, the chirping sound of Chidori filled the air. I've already mastered it, Mirai said calmly, letting the technique dissipate as he relaxed his hand. Everyone, including Minato, Kakashi, and Obito, stood in stunned silence. Although the jutsu had only appeared for a moment, there was no mistaking it. It was Chidori. Wait, isn't that your jutsu, Kakashi? Obito blurted out in disbelief. Mirai, when did you steal Kakashi's technique? Kakashi himself was still processing what he'd seen. He had only demonstrated Chidori once during their previous sparring match. Could Mirai really have learned such a complex jutsu from just one demonstration? That would be beyond impressive. It was almost terrifying. Jinroku and Minato shared a look of astonishment as well. Chidori was far from a basic technique. Mastering it required advanced control over both chakra shape transformation and nature transformation, skills that even seasoned shonen found challenging. And yet, here was Mirai, casually performing it as though it were nothing. Kuran and Asuma, who had little knowledge of Chidori's complexity, simply watched with puzzled expressions, wondering why everyone else seemed so shocked. Hey! Answer me! Obito demanded, still in disbelief as he faced Mirai. Calm down, Obito, Minato said sternly before turning to Mirai. Mirai, care to explain? A little over a month ago, Kakashi used Chidori against me in a sparring match. Hey, stop dodging the question. Obito interrupted, waving his hand in frustration. We're asking how you learned Kakashi's jutsu. Mirai let out a faint scoff, then pointed at his own eyes, locking Obito in a steely gaze. Obito, I doubt you understand the true power of the Sharingan, do you? Mirai's voice was cold, almost mocking. In front of these eyes, no jutsu remains a secret. As he spoke, Mirai's eyes turned a deep crimson, the tomo in his Sharingan spinning slowly. Seeing those eyes, Obito fell back, a look of shock and awe on his face as he stammered. Why you kidding? Those are 3 tomo Sharingan. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 6 comment. Vote. Chapter 25. Obito's face was filled with disbelief as he stared into the scarlet Sharingan before him, each eye glistening with the 3 tomo. As a member of the Uchiha clan, he knew all too well what those eyes represented. 3 tomo. The ultimate form of the Sharingan. Every Uchiha with a 3 tomo Sharingan was considered a clan elite, at the very least a Jonin level shinobi. In a one-on-one scenario, few could stand against a Uchiha possessing such power. In truth, the full potential of the Uchiha clan's Kekii Genkai only truly shone when the Sharingan evolved to 3 tomo. Yet achieving this form was an incredible feat, nearly impossible for most clan members. Many struggled even to awaken their Sharingan, let alone advance it to this level. According to what Obito knew, there were only a handful of Uchiha who currently wielded the 3 tomo Sharingan. And yet, his peer, Uchiha Mirai, had reached it. While he hadn't even unlocked his Sharingan. A deep sense of powerlessness stirred within Obito. For once, his usual confidence felt shaken. 3 tomo Sharingan. I can't believe it. Mirai, Yu Shinku and Namikaze Minato were equally stunned, staring at Uchiha Mirai in awe. They had long known Mirai to be a rare genius, but seeing it in person still took their breath away. Obito, do I really need to explain this any further? Mirai asked coolly, looking down at Obito, who had slumped onto the ground. No, that won't be necessary. Minato managed to regain his composure, his usual warm smile returning as he stepped in, offering Obito a moment to recover. Just as Mirai had implied, a 3 tomo Sharingan could perceive the chakra flow of ninjutsu, shatter genjutsu, and replicate any taijutsu or non-Kekii Genkai ninjutsu. The Chidori, with its complex nature and form transformations, would be no issue for such a Sharingan. Mirai, you're more amazing than ever. Kurane exclaimed. She might not fully grasp what the 3 tomo Sharingan entailed, but her father and Minato's reactions told her plenty. Are you still going to cook for me sometimes? Kurane asked, sounding a bit apprehensive. With Mirai advancing so quickly, she felt the growing gap between them. She feared that one day, he might disappear from her world entirely. Don't worry. Mirai chuckled, patting her head. I'll still make noodles for you. Promise. Kurane's eyes lit up as she nodded firmly. It's a deal. Nearby, Hitaki Kakashi observed Mirai, a renewed determination flashing in his eyes. For the first time, he felt an overwhelming sense of pressure from someone his own age. He would need to train even harder. Otherwise, Konoha's top young genius might end up being nothing but a joke. Minato caught Kakashi's shifting expression and smiled. Mirai, maybe you could help Kakashi out a bit. I'm sure you'd be able to draw him out of his shell. I'm not exactly a great teacher, Mirai replied, frowning. But I'm open to making a deal. Minato's mouth twitched as he noticed Mirai's abrupt shift in demeanor. No wonder Obito often got riled up around him. Mirai had a knack for pushing buttons. Boom. An explosion from a paper bomb echoed across the field as Mirai snapped his eyes open, vanishing from where he'd stood. In a flash, cries rang out, followed by a familiar voice in Mirai's head. Ding. Congratulations, host. Chakra +1. Ding. Mental strength +1. Ding. Wind style, vacuum sphere learned. Mirai slid his blade back into its sheath as he looked down at the 3 defeated Tsunagaku Genin. Only 3 kills, and he'd already received 3 rewards. Battlefields like this were made for him. With his 3 tomo Sharingan, average Genin or Chunin didn't stand a chance. And on the battlefield, 9 out of 10 opponents were just that. As long as he avoided any cage-level opponents or ambushes, he felt relatively safe even with the 8 gates as his trump card. Mirai, could you slow down next time? Give the rest of us a chance, grumbled Asuma, frustrated to find that Mirai had already taken down the enemy. War isn't a game, Mirai replied, calm and unfazed. Asuma, clean up the battlefield. He turned to leave, his tone firm. Every kill brought him closer to his goal, there was no way he'd let anyone else claim his opportunities. Humph. Asuma huffed but still obeyed, beginning to clear away the fallen. Mirai's ruthlessness had become well known. He left no survivors in his wake. Over time, even Asuma had learned to steer clear of him. 5 days passed in a blur, marked by multiple enemy encounters. Every skirmish was against Tsunagakuer teams, mostly teams of Genin and Chunin meant for reconnaissance. There was no need for Minato or Shinko to step in, Mirai and Kakashi handled them with ease. Arriving at the forward base, Mirai's team handed over their supplies to Narashikaku. They would remain stationed at the front, tasked with eliminating Tsunagakuer scouts who crossed into the Land of Fire's borders. Once accommodations were settled, Mirai quickly dragged Minato to the training grounds. Mirai had agreed to Minato's request to help Kakashi. In return, Minato would spar with him daily. You're certainly eager, Mirai. Minato smiled wryly as he noted Mirai's impatience. They'd just completed a long journey, surely he could rest a bit before diving into training? No more stalling, Mirai replied coolly. We couldn't spar during the mission, but now it's time you make good on your promise. In Mirai's eyes, Minato was a treasure trove. He couldn't wait even a moment longer. Seeing Mirai's determination, Minato dropped his casual demeanor, a serious look taking over. Very well, Mirai. But don't hold back. He, too, wanted to see just how strong this unprecedented prodigy truly was. Read 10 chapters ahead for free on my Patreon, read pinned message. Plus 70 chapters on patreon.com/gxo. Comment. 5 comment. Vote.